Holy crap, in a rarity. Both of my co-hosts are here before everyone else. That's crazy.
Good evening. How are we doing today?
Good. Are you ready?
Hell yeah.
So, I really appreciate you, Let's. Thank you for being a part of my team, bro. And I really love working with you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. That's great. Before this, I
And
was playing a game with my brother that had us ranking the top 5 of stuff that ranged from, I don't know, he came home from his girlfriend's house, and I was just like, hey. And we were just talking about, like, Ashley Kalis and shit like that. And then we were...
yeah.
And then we were just doing, like, a top 5 game where we had to pick, like, our top 5. Like, he did, like themes that were like cartoons, stuff like that. And we had to like choose which BL which, you know what I mean? That sort of stuff, like ranking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome.
Apparently, I mean, his girlfriend's coming over tomorrow, so I'd assume that I'm probably just going to do like something like that for them, because I usually do trivia for them, but change it up.
That's cool. Well, I can't believe, dude, we had 109 people on Sunday night.
I know. That means nuts. Yeah.
And in 2 weeks on election night, I think it's going to be huge, bro, when we're doing this.
It's going to be very big.
Definitely. It'll be great.
I'm going to need to hop myself up on caffeine for the, like, probably going to need to drink coffee because I'm probably going to be stand-up like 4 probably in the morning.
Yeah, and I might take, if I can talk to my boss, I might be taking Wednesday off because we're going to be doing the election forum, so I can be here because... Then we're going to be open late. Then we're going to be up really late because I'm going to be up late anyways. You and I are going to have this room open for a while.
Yeah, probably.
Cats. And then Cats, I'm going to, it'll be late. And then Cats,
some people are probably just going to want to go to bed maybe or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you see the new profile picture now with me and Kalis?
Oh, I saw it last night. It just took a while.
Oh, nice.
I like it. She's cool.
Yeah.
Cats, what's up?
Hey there. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good myself,
Awesome. Is that your girlfriend or wife or
That is
what?
not my girlfriend. That is hopefully the next governor of Rhode Island.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
No, it's all right. I'm just joking with you. It's just nobody said that. Just cool that I got to take a picture of the politician.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I just made an assumption. I thought.
No. It's all right.
She's a nice looking woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I was standing like right, like her husband and her 3 kids were like near the center, so I saw them.
Hi, Judge. Hi, Mark.
Hello there, Cats. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing these days?
Oh, I'm hanging in there and hoping to get reelected.
Let's hope so, Judge. Rooting for you.
Thank you, Let.
Yep. How you been feeling, Judge?
Well, the overwhelming majority of people I talk to have told me, "Oh, you don't have to worry. You guys are voting for you," which feels wonderful to hear. But the population demographic here has changed so much in the last few years that my opponent really doesn't have to work that hard to get neck and neck with me in the polls. And so just a little bit of work on her part, even though she doesn't have a law license or have any experience doing what I do, could get her right at or above me in the polls, unfortunately. So there's a lot of reason for concern.
Oh my God, it's just nice. Well, not nice. I mean, I do hope that you win, though, Judge. You seem like that you really, love your job and what you do. So, I really hope you do win.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Well, we love the judge. The judge is amazing.
I agree. I love y'all.
Sean agrees with me. That's all that matters.
And then after you get reelected, you can restart Night Court.
Hi, Sean. Hi, Neo. I think that's the real Sean, not the fake
That is the real
evil one.
Sean. No. Communist Sean is gone.
Yeah, but he's gonna come in as Chucky tonight.
Yeah, he's gonna
because
come in
he's
as
gotta
Chucky because it's
he's
Halloween.
gotta have a Halloween name.
I think they're all still in
so
Wisconsin space, probably.
probably it's okay.
No, it's
We'll
fine.
forgive
We'll
them.
come in slowly over time, probably.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will.
How is everyone tonight?
Good. Yeah. 13 days to election day. Just got to hang out with my cousin today, who I haven't seen in about a month.
That's
Good
awesome.
stuff like that.
I got a new dog, so I've been in dog heaven for the past 24 hours. Like, they're spectacular.
Hey, let's talk. Do you want to make some phone calls for a judge candidate in South Carolina that I can get you hooked up with?
Let me.
Of course he does.
When is it specifically?
Whenever you have free time. We can do it whenever you would like. As long as it's between the hours of 9 what is it? 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night.
Well, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Pacific, I would assume. 8 o'clock.
They're the same time zone.
No, they're not.
Let's talk some.
Let's and Judge are in the same time zone. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we're in the same time zone.
Wait a second. Oh, yes, you are. Sorry. For some reason, I thought Judge was in Texas for a second.
What? He said South Carolina so many times.
I know.
Yeah,
my
I'm
brain.
surprised.
Wow, Chucky,
He should
Nikki.
be-
Wow.
Oh man,
That's a shocker.
he doesn't even know where his friends are from anymore. This guy, he must be getting old up there in the age.
Yeah.
He must think I'm from fucking Oregon.
Yeah, that's right.
You mean just plain Oregon, not the other word that you put in front of that, Colin?
He must think I'm from Oregon.
Yeah.
Y'all don't be too mean to Chucky now.
I will
Dylan.
say, I think what it is like, when you get unfairly attacked, your brain like goes into fight or flight mode, a little bit. And I got unfairly attacked in another space like
Wait, what the hell?
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I
was
was
this in
there for that.
Wait, was this in Wisconsin space?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
What
You don't
happened?
have to say who did it, but what happened?
Oh,
Well,
no,
what-
I am more than happy to say it. NASCAR and MIDI both piled on me after I made a slightly snarky comment. And they like severely called me out for it to the degree that Wisconsin just decided I'm done with this bullshit and kicked me out. He didn't kick everybody out. He just kicked me out.
No,
What
he's
did
been
you say?
Say that again?
I mean, you don't have to say. I mean, you could just DM it. To me
No,
what
I
you said.
will. I'll totally say I'm a very straightforward person, and I stand by my words. There was somebody in the space that was speaking in a particular manner and interrupting people occasionally, and it sounded like a speech pattern I had heard before. And so after talking about something else, I said to him, I just noticed that the way that you have been repeatedly speaking like this, sounded like forced speech. And I just wanted to note that, or I just wanted to know if you were aware of that or something like that I'd said. And they took it like I was trying to publicly insult him, which I was not. But I guess my snarky liberal tone,
I'm gonna be honest. Until you sent me the documentation of what you were talking about and explained it to me, I thought you were insulting him too.
I went to go do something with my brother and that's why I left the space earlier. But yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. Nikki, let's just say if you're in a room full of conservatives and you say something snarky, you know how it's going to go down sometimes.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this is the thing: is I intentionally used a technical term rather than explaining it because I didn't want to come out and say what I wanted to come out and say. Because I thought that was the polite thing to do. And so I think that it was interpreted because I was using terminology that people weren't familiar with, that I was saying something mean.
Huh.
Well, you know sometimes how you can get, we all get fiery back at you sometimes because sometimes you say things that get under our skin. You know this. And even though you don't always mean to.
That's fair.
But
Why
if
would
two
that?
Democrats are kicking you out, well, no. If two
Wisconsin's
No,
not.
no,
Mitty,
no. Kelly's a conservative,
Mitty,
so well,
Mitty
yeah.
would attack you, then I know that you must have done something to really irritate some Democrats too.
It was just the women.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it
Just the
sounded
woman.
like I was being mean to him, and they didn't know what I meant, but it sounded that way, and so they both decided to pile on at the same time, which wouldn't have been a problem, except Wisconsin just didn't want the space devolving into that kind of thing, and so he just booted me as a way to get rid of it.
So Chucky,
Well, Judge is raising his hand, so I'm going to let the judge join into this.
Thank you. I was just going to ask Chucky, is one of these people like an alter ego for Bad Chris? I mean, that sounds like a repeat of months ago.
You mean Chucky? No, it's because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm still going to call him Chucky Nicky because he's going to go back to Nicky after this.
Call Chris now? We just call Chris Bad Chris now?
Yes.
Yes, he's Bad Chris.
No, I know he's Bad Chris. I mean, I don't like him, but,
Guys, he's literally irrelevant. So
I mean, I know this guy. I mean, for someone, he's so irrelevant. He had Matt Gaetz in his space the other night.
Yeah, wait, he did have Matt. Yeah, I heard that. That's true?
Yeah, that's real.
Well, no, Max Nordau got his Matt Gaetz in his space because his one from Max actually works in the Florida State Capitol.
Yeah, I don't think it's his relevance that's getting into his space. I think it's other people's.
Well, Dakota, you have had your hand up. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I understand why there was a little bit of pushback against Nicky, but I thought that was unfair that they just outright booted him. Man, he wasn't. He was cordial, in my opinion. I mean, he might have said something that could have come off as abrasive, but you know, many times I've excoriated people and I haven't been kicked. But I've excoriated people like 1,000 degrees.
Well, Dakota, that's because you're a socialist. We keep you around as the token socialist.
Damn it! Quit outing me. I'm joking. I'm just kidding. Anyway. So, can I please, for the love of me, I've been practicing this, but can I just make fun of Chris just one last time since he keeps on getting brought up in my greatest Trump voice ever? It'll be great.
Just one.
Just once?
Yeah, just once. We're going to move on.
Chris is a total lightweight. He'll never be successful in anything for life. He's never done anything in this country. He'll never amount to anything. He's a loser. He's never had anything positive to say. He's against democracy.
And he's not even hot.
You forgot to mention his small hands.
Ben, go ahead. Your hand is raised. What do you want to say, Ben?
Excuse me. Have you seen his hands? They're really small, I got to tell you.
We might have to have you do some more Trump stuff later. Hey, Ben. Ben, you have your hand up. What do you want to say?
Hey, Jason. I'm just going to say that it looks like we have probably the biggest 2 weeks coming up before November 8th. I'm sure Dakota probably knows this, but in the state of Ohio, J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan are neck and neck, and even though internal polls do show that J.D. Vance might win, we can't take that for granted unless we go out and vote for him. We're seeing Trump will be in the Dayton area holding a rally for J.D. Vance, so I'll probably be going to that. But Jason, I got to say, some of the conversations today, you should have been there, man. We were just talking about how there's a lack of the conservative viewpoint in schools. Like, they're all making it go one way. They're all being very biased against conservatives instead of creating that conversation, like what John Locke did, or what Montesquieu did, or what the Enlightenment was all about. And now because of that, we're facing an economic and educational disaster, because our education system is now shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on and the election was 2 weeks away. So really quick, Ben, Dakota, in your best Trump voice, can you tell me, are you going to go see JD Vance and help him out?
J.D. Vance is going to be the best senator the state of Ohio has put out since John Glenn. We all know who John Glenn is. He's an American hero. We put him in space. And to be honest with you, in this space, outside of Nikki, God love him, but J.D. Vance is the only one we're voting for.
Wait, really quickly, what's the one where you do it like he's laughing?
What do you mean?
Well, we'll get more going, but I want to bring up a couple things, and then Matt's got his hand raised.
Sure, go ahead.
Well,
Matt,
I think I do think what I'm going to say has nothing to do with the conversation, but I joined at a time when I actually left the space that they were mentioning it. And I will say this, and we can move on from it, that I think we all know I was removed from the space for disagreeing with Chris, and so Wisconsin had previously mentioned that he doesn't even have. It's not just people. He has, Wisconsin staffers and, political people that listen to his space. So I think that I wasn't even in the space at the time, but what they were mentioning, I think it was justifiable just to end it. So, I mean, that's just Wisconsin. I wouldn't say it's censorship, but just want to go on to the politics now.
All right. So I want to bring up something real quick here. One thing I don't do, even though there are people that rub me the wrong way in some of the spaces that I've gone into, I try to stay out of talking about them, or even though they irritate me, because I want us to be better than that, guys. And yeah, there are people that are annoying. So if we can be better than other spaces, I really want that, because all of you are amazing, and I don't want anybody talking about, if anybody talks about you guys in my space when you're not there, they're gonna get reamed. I want us to stay away from the I've noticed this. I've gone into spaces and people talk about people, and, oh yeah, have you been to that guy in that room? So and then they start talking about him, and so I stay away from the drama. There are people that have gotten on my nerves, and I there's a higher standard that I want to have for us in our spaces and stuff. So if we can, yes, there are people that are annoying, and yes, they can get on our nerves, but if we have to defend our friends, and Nikki's our friend. So despite the fact that we may not always see eye to eye with him, I defend him because he's really done a lot for me to feel better about some things in what I'm doing and stuff. And a lot of you guys have. I'm really blessed that you guys are here. So definitely, I understand your frustrations, but I want you to come here to a safe place to be able to talk politics, and when those things happen, yeah, we can acknowledge them for a moment, but I don't want to go on and on about these people, because I don't want to give anybody the time of day to do that to any of us. Because if it happens, if I'm in a space and I hear one of my people being talked about, which is all you guys, everybody that comes here, I'm going to defend you guys, and then I'm going to leave the space, because we're higher than that. We are better people than that. So I just wanted to bring that up. Dakota Trump, what do you got to say?
Well, I don't deserve to be called Donald Trump.
Dakota Trump. I just wanted, if you wanted, your Trump impression. I like it. We might have to use it more. Let's and I might need to use it more.
Damn, you're telling me I can't shame people? I'm just kidding. But yeah,
no, I'm not saying that. You do you, but I want to
lie. I would love to have Tip O'Neill, Ronald Reagan moments with Nikki. Let's go to the bar sometime and just talk politics and get these resolutions passed behind everybody's backs and stuff. That'd be great. But,
that would be fun.
Anyway, no, that's what I'm saying, man. Like I don't know why some people are rash sometimes, like, and hurry up and rush people off the space. Like, the only time I've ever done that is like when Knuckles came on, and he absolutely was like calling people racist and fascist and everything. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, he was apparently younger than me, and a little bit younger than me.
All
And
right.
he was,
So
yeah.
we know that people, if we can cut out names, I don't want any people's names brought up. Please, I want to get away from that because we're better than that, guys, and this is recorded. So
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
we have a lot more to go on. We have 13 days until an election that we need to talk about, and I really want us to focus on that. And if you guys are getting bashed in other space, come here and be safe with us because we're
Yeah,
going to
just come
protect
here.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Are you wait a second, Jason? Are you saying this is a safe space?
Yeah, it's a safe space for you, Chucky, Nikki.
Bad Chucky. Damn it, Nikki, you're supposed to sing with me.
Well, okay, Dylan, if you've got one more thing to say, I've got a couple updates on things coming up, and then I would like to bring those up before Cats takes over.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take long. I was just wondering what you guys all think about Elon Musk literally letting that sink in that he now owns Twitter and the deal going through. What are the opinions?
When did that happen?
This morning.
He posted it this morning. He literally walked into Twitter HQ holding a sink with the caption, "Let that sink in." Like, the man's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you this. What I think about it is I didn't get to listen to the radio at all there. I had to train somebody, so I was out of it for stuff. And so I didn't get to hear that, but I think it's amazing, Dylan. I think that is awesome, and I think that Twitter will improve. I really hope we stop getting censored on some of the stuff that I'm shadow banned still. My tweets aren't going the way they used to, so I'm hoping the shadow banning stops because I'm sick of being shadow banned. I haven't had a tweet pop since February, and it's the one that's in the top of my. After that tweet, I got shadow banned, and I've never had a tweet pop the way that the one that I have pinned at the top of my Twitter page is. So I agree. I think it's awesome. I mean, I think everybody here's got to be excited about that, and we can definitely talk more about that. That is amazing, guys. That is just cool. I think Twitter will be a better place with Elon in charge. That's my thoughts. Dakota, and then I have a couple. I need to go through some things before I give my Cats her mic time because I have not been able to say what I need to say.
Yeah, certainly with the Elon Musk thing, I thought that was a savvy move. Honestly, that could be used as a big time business move, I think. Like promotionally, stuff like that. I think that's huge. Like, literally bringing a sink in. Like, what's next? Like with the old policies, what's he going to do? Bring like a paper shredder next, and all the policies are going to be shredded. Like I don't know, like that. I just think that could be a big marketing play moving forward. Stuff like that. It means something, man. It means something when you're willing to show, like the aspect of what you're trying to do. Like it shows the seriousness. It's quirky, but I think it shows that you're like serious and trying to do something and make it more marketable than what it was. And like, you know what I mean? That's what I think of that whole situation.
Well, Twitter has definitely given me a platform with all of you guys. I'm telling you, I feel so blessed. I get fiery at some of my friends in here sometimes, and some are Democrats. Last night, I got fiery with Sean. I'm like, afterwards, I felt bad because I couldn't hear, like the lag was so bad, and so I said something to him, but we talk about it and stuff. But you guys,
it was a new glitch that I had to describe what was going on.
Dude, Sean calls me a socialist every time I see him on here. So it's
well,
I hold nothing against him.
Sean's awesome. Like I really, but here I gotta give heaps some praise on people. I need to get moving forward because if I jump into Cat's time, which we didn't talk much this week because I've been crazy busy. So I'm hoping that her segment goes well. I like to know everything, so next week I will know what her topic is. But I trust her. I've been working with her for 8 months. So here's the thing. We are definitely coming up on elections. I am a person that believes in giving people chances. And since I started on Twitter, we've had Nikki coming in our space regularly. I really like Nikki because despite the fact that we do not agree on everything, we have a lot in common. In fact, we've kind of had conversations and we talk about things about, both of us have apologized to each other when we snapped at each other. But that being said, next week, Nikki gets to co-host on a segment in the overtime hour next week, and I think he'll do a good job with it. And so I just want you guys to know that we believe in chances for people. Now, people will go, "Oh, this is a conservative forum." It definitely is a conservative forum, but with that being said, we want to have other points of view in here. One of the things I will say that I've seen improvement on, and Cats can agree with me, and Let's too, is one of the things we do in this forum is because it's recorded, and I do have some people that listen to this after, is I'd like to keep the cussing down. And Nikki has done an excellent job over the last 2 months because he would like to be a part of the forum and help us out. And he does a good job in a lot of things of cutting down the cussing. What do you think, Cats? I
Oh
put her
yeah,
on the spot. It's
yeah,
better,
yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah, definitely, and I appreciate it. Because occasionally he does blurt out something, but in those times catches himself and apologizes and moves on. And you get used to talking that way. It's kind of hard to undo because I talked that way when I was young, believe it or not. So I appreciate his efforts and the efforts of other folks in here for curtailing how they normally speak.
And yeah, and that's really good. And so while we're the Conservative Political Forum and the host is conservative and a lot of my friends in here are conservative, we want other points of view to get understanding. But at the same time, Nikki's topic is not going to be divisive. It's actually going to be something that everybody can talk about. So tune in next week, guys, because it has to do with election stuff anyways. It's since the election is coming close and we're 6 days away, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. That being said, I am hosting on Sunday nights Late Night Garage, and last week we had a huge Late Night Garage turnout last Sunday night where we had 109 people here. Nikki and Let's were co-hosting, and they did an excellent job. Nikki's been doing a good job with that stuff and was prepared and everything. So I have to give credit where credit is due, and I want to thank him for doing that. He is also going to help us. If I can say this, Nikki, because I think it's cool, he's also going to help us get on a podcast. So we're going to be in podcast form. And I'm so honored that he even likes our forum. I mean, he's a Democrat, but he likes our conservative political forum. That's awesome. And so, he's adopted Cats as a mom, and Colin's adopted her as a grandma. So Cats is a grandma and a mom in here now to Nikki and Colin, two Democrats.
Can I correct the record a little bit there?
What's the record?
Cats is a grandma to me because she
Oh,
sounds
that's
like
right.
actual.
That's right.
And then Colin has always called me daddy. So Cats is a great grandma.
No, I call you dad. I call Dylan daddy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. I forgot that.
So I just thank you, Nikki, and I just want you guys to know that I love doing this. And this is my dream. My dream is to, in the future, to hopefully just keep growing and be able to host and have all of you guys be a part, and for us to have a huge community so we can help teach others to learn how to find common ground, because I really get annoyed by the division in this country. So we're gonna find that common ground. And so next week Nikki will be co-hosting, but this Sunday night, Let's Talk and Nikki and I are doing another Late Night Garage election countdown, and then the week after we're doing another one on Sunday night starting at 7:30. Yep. And we're just going at it with election stuff. They had a really good format last week. I thought it was great. I need to trust my co-hosts, I learned, because Nikki taught me that because I wanted to know about a race and it wasn't on the list, and they had a surprise for me that it was. So I'm learning still. So
yep.
Can I
oh, sorry, I just wanted to also preview the one next week, so like a week from now, so that people
can we do that at 9:00, because I really want to make sure I don't run into Cats. We'll talk more about it.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome. At 9:00 we're gonna jump into election stuff and talk more about it, Nikki. And so right then I'll have you bring that up before we go on with stuff. That being said, Let's Talk is our election guru for the conservative side of things here, and he next week, the next, he's going to be a part of the political night. So we're going to be live on election night calling races. Katz will be there, but she will not be co-hosting that night, but she'll be there as a speaker. Colin, I think Colin will be there when he can. Sean will stop and say hi. I think he's busy, but any of you guys that just want to be at a place to have fun, we're going to be live having a blast, just like a party. So those are the things I wanted to bring up with that. That being said, we'll go to Reducation right now, and then we'll talk a little more before at 9 o'clock when Let's and I get into races and any questions you guys have about races in your states and stuff, and we'll get the Democratic side from Nikki and Colin and those guys. But here we go. Real quick. I appreciate all of you, just so you know. As freedom thinkers here in the Conservative Political Forum, we believe and value our constitutional rights. The reason why we say as freedom thinkers is because we don't have just conservatives in here. We have Democrats and Republicans. So when we wrote this, I wanted to make sure that it was not excluding my friends that are not conservatives and independents. So we believe we all value our constitutional rights. That's a fact. We recognize that even amongst ourselves, there are varied opinions. This forum is a safe place for all. We don't tolerate personal attacks or raise voices. We ask that you be considerate of persons who prefer not to hear profanity. Please be self-aware of your mic time, as we want to ensure everyone who wants to contribute to a particular topic can. Now, a lot of our topics over the next week and 2 weeks are going to be about the election. I've dropped headlines and I'm adding other stuff in, except for next week I'm going to go back to headlines because we're going to have some specific stuff, but it will be based on election stuff. Even my headlines will be election specific because I want us to be aware, focused, and kind of learn the election. So that's what we're doing the next couple of weeks because I know everybody is interested in that. So it would be dumb for us to go talk about, right now, inflation and stuff when that's not the hot topic. The hot topic is the election, and those things can change the other things, but I know that everybody wants to talk about that, so I'm very aware of that. So that being said, I don't know what Kat's topic is tonight, which is not normal, so I really hope that she has a good one, and we'll find out right now.
Oh, Jason, it's just horrible. Oh, by the way, before I start, Chucky and Colin, I just want to say I'm going to be learning you boys some truth. So, Reducation is our weekly segment designed to provide education via point counterpoint with each other on topics that are important to many Americans. And sometimes these topics are emotionally charged. All forum guidelines, which Jason just covered, are in place for this segment. We expect all speakers to remain civil. If you have a mic, you'll have a chance to respond. Please raise your hand. I will call on you. And since it is just a really super short segment, it's just 30 minutes. That's not a lot of time. Please keep your answers concise. Try to keep it to not more than 3 minutes. If you go over, I will unfortunately interrupt you and ask you to get to the point. So, I know that everything is election.
Hold on, your mic's messed up, and I have a question for
Yeah,
you.
it sounds like echoey.
I can barely hear you. Second, I would like to know, what do you mean by you're going to be learning them some truth? What does that mean, Katz?
Oh, it's just a joke.
I had the same question.
It's just a joke, guys.
I died laughing when she said that.
It just sounds like my old grandpa, because he would talk like that. That's all.
I think her mic's getting worse.
Kat, can you check your mic or your internet? Because we really can't hear you right now. We hear like a little mouth. It's sort of through the hole like this. And so we can like not really hear you.
Is she away from the mic?
I don't think so. I think her internet, sometimes she says that sometimes she gets spots that drop in her internet.
Yeah, but I've been going off Wi-Fi when I've been doing this for like a couple months.
Yeah, a lot of times it sounds good. Right now it sounds weird.
Hang on.
That's better.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's bad. It's great. What do you guys think? Can you guys hear her, or does it just sound really bad?
It's pretty bad.
No,
Okay.
yeah, it's weird.
All right, let me try again. Hang on.
That's better.
Now it's normal.
Now it sounds good.
Okay, because I was off Wi-Fi, and then I went on Wi-Fi.
Oh, probably when you went on Wi-Fi, maybe.
Yeah. Is it
All right.
okay now?
For now, if we can't hear you, we'll go on. We'll let you know. But you can start your topic. But we want to be able to hear you. So.
Well, of course. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So I just want to talk about something different because everything is election, which of course is super, super important. But I thought some people may want to talk about something a little bit different. So I want to talk about Make America Great Again. And I want to talk about it as just a slogan having absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump. So please, if you don't like Trump, just take that out of your mind.
So, just so you know, because you sound like in a hall still, you said you want to talk about Make America Great Again, but you want to talk about it as a slogan having nothing to do with Donald Trump. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is exactly what I said.
All right. I'm going to have to repeat some of the stuff you say so that we make sure everybody hears it. But that's okay. We'll get through it.
I can hear her for some reason.
You what?
I can hear her. I could hear what she was saying, but I don't know if.
But but it's not normal. It's not the normal speaking.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So
it's all right.
Anyway, what I mean by that is, I'd like to hear how you would make America great and something different, maybe not the normal thing that somebody would expect to hear, and just a single topic rather than a broad, I would do this type of thing. So it is a little bit different. It may not necessarily be something we end up debating about, but I just wanted to hear different perspectives. So I'm going to go ahead and give something that I thought about, and please forgive me. I don't know if all these things would be possible, but I'd like to see Congress get cleaned up. And what I mean by that is term limits. One, I think that the term limit should be no more than 3, and that there also should be an age limit. Perhaps age 65 would be the oldest that you can start a term, age 65. And also to stop this nonsense of all these kickbacks from lobbyists and wherever they come from. It's just kind of like in most jobs how, you're not supposed to accept gifts from customers. It's just kind of like that. And, there's just a lot that needs to be cleaned up, like none of this insider trading kind of nonsense. It just seems like the whole thing has been corrupted, and it's just a way for someone to get in there and earn millions of dollars. I think that their salaries as a public servant should be sufficient for what they do. And so that's one of my takes. I mean, there's a ton of stuff I'd like to see changed, but that would be one. So I'm not sure who was first, but I'm going to go ahead and call on Mar.
Actually, it was Dakota before me.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Dakota.
So what I think of America, Make America Great Again, I think it what I want to see and what I think it means to me is, I think it's what each of us individually can do to make our country great. What does it mean to make our country great? So I think it happens to be with each individual person, what they're doing and what we can do as an individual to enhance our country's prospects. Like I always talk about a national project like Mount Rushmore, the Hoover Dam, and the Interstate Highway Commission during the 1950s, the Intercontinental Railroad. When I think of making America great again, I think of the individualism that everybody individually comes together to encumber a project that can transfigure the United States. I see that as making America great again. I want to get back to that. That is what I think we should be looking forward towards the future. And I think it needs to transfigure more than a party, more than a group of people, but it has to come from the soul. And I think our soul needs some healing. And I think a party like that, a commission like that, if we commission such a project like that, we could move forward together, and that's something we can lean on, successfully, like the space race, and that's what I'm going to leave it there on that part.
All right, Dakota, thank you for that. I didn't really see the hands because I was talking. Because I know we've got Mar. Let's talk in Dylan.
So let's go Dylan next, and then go Mar. And is there any other hand? Oh, Let's actually had his hand up before Dylan and Mar because he's been up for a while. So let's Dylan, then Mar.
Okay, thank you.
Make America. What I think to make America great again is, I think of it as trying to help a common person, because helping any American, regardless of their political party, is I want this country to prosper. That's all. Like, I really wanted, and seeing it hurt is really a shame. But I like to think that when it comes to making America great again, I don't think it's the people that's the problem. I like to think it's sometimes the government that is the problem. Like Katz was talking about, the government there needs to be fixed. Like, it needs to be fixed in certain areas. I don't like the fact that politicians that somewhat don't care can get rich from doing their job. They don't care if you lose their job, but they care if they lose their job because they make money off of it. They can do insider trading. They can do all this stuff. The point is, American people get ripped off from some of the stuff that gets signed that they're not even aware about, and they hear it through the grapevine. That needs to be solved, okay? Because I'm sick and tired of American people being ripped off. I don't like them being lied to. I don't like propaganda being spread. They're better than that. They should know that their country is the greatest country on the planet of the earth, and there should be people that should have dignity and respect for those people that want to raise a family, want to have a job. They want to live in a nice house. They want to be able to live the American dream that's been coined. That's what's making America great again. It's having pride in your country, not hating it. That's what I think making America great again. And if we come together as Americans and not political parties, and we actually realize that half the time the politicians are actually sometimes buddy-buddy with each other, because that's the truth. And I'm tired of acting like it's not sometimes. You know what I mean? We need to understand that we're more alike than we actually are. Like, we really are. And I think that this divide is just some sort of charade half the time that's, something that, is just to be a bigger... It's just more of a wedge that's driven between us. We have two different opposing sides, and it's really just a whole mess that's really just festered into something I never really thought it would. But, term limits is is an idea that should be coined. Like, we need to go after Congress. Like, some of these people have been there for years, and they have not made people's lives better. Some of them have gotten worse. It needs to be fixed, and that's what I think making America great again is.
Thank you, because it should be about the people. I mean, those people in elected office are supposed to be public servants, not sponging more money off us. So you're exactly right. Now I already forgot. It's supposed to be Mar or Dylan.
No, it's Dylan next. Dylan and then Mar.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Dylan, you here?
Dylan, or we're gonna go up. We'll get Dylan back, and then he'll go. Let's go Mar, and then we'll go back to Dylan.
No, he's here. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. I didn't kick you. I would not do that to my. I would not
Oh no,
do
I was
that
just
to
wondering if it
you.
was an accident because like it stopped, and I was like, oh okay. So for me, what making America great again means is solving the problems that we've had in this country for a very long time now, like immigration. Whatever you believe on immigration, I believe we can all come to an agreement that it is broken. From the visa process to the way that the military gets its soldiers naturalized to the way that our green card system and visa process works, I think we can all agree that that needs to be fixed. However, that's decided, not really an issue, but it needs to be solved one way or another because the way we currently have it is not equitable for the American citizens, for those applying for asylum or trying to legally immigrate. I think that that's incredibly broken and that needs to be fixed. Secondly, is energy in the United States. I don't think that any of these green solar initiatives or wind initiatives are very A, helpful, or B, long-term cost-effective. I think that nuclear power needs to be something that's invested in the United States for cheap, affordable power and energy, especially if you're going to want to transition to electric vehicles, to more electric utilities in a house, from heaters, water heaters, and furnaces to air conditioning units. I think that's something that definitely needs to happen. The other thing, too, is things like the Jones Act. We have a lot of legislation that's been around for, at this point, 50, 60 years that really doesn't serve a purpose anymore. A lot of protectionism that I don't think is necessary, and I think that American manufacturing needs to be brought back to deal with that new concern, especially with issues with like trade imbalances with China and with just interdependency with other nations. I think that we don't need to just be importing, we need to be exporting, and we need to be increasing the number of high-paying American jobs that are, blue collar and white collar alike. So I think that being able to be a self-sufficient nation, but also interacting and offering these global trades is beneficial not only to us, but also our allies.
That was great.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. Excellent.
I
Mar?
definitely agree with that. Yeah, Mar, go ahead.
Wow, I gotta follow that. That's pretty deep right there. That was excellent. Mine's a little different. I know a lot of these approaches are political and where we are today, but I was kind of thinking of a kind of a different take on it. One, I would kind of like to see the mainstream media go away and start going back to reporting actual news and learning how to research the problems in the world and how they're supposed to contribute to trying to fix this divide in this country instead of, dividing it. I'd like to see a little more kindness come back to our societies and people learn how to treat and trust and respect one another because we've gotten so far off the mark that we can't even have conversations without fighting and arguing and, just going where we never should have gone when we're just trying to talk. I'd like to see a little more unity in that aspect. And I think getting rid of the media will help a little bit in that aspect because they like to light matches and fuel the people. I like to see a little more faith come back into society. I know not a lot of people are going to be on board with that, but I feel like for me, because faith is a big part of my life, I like to see a little more wholesome messages pushed out there instead of just negative and some of the things we're seeing on TV and in our schools and in society. I just like a lot of that to go away and just be back on a little more wholesome nature instead of just everything goes. I'm one of those people that I don't feel like everything should go. I think some things should be kept private, some things should be kept separate, and some things maybe never should be said. And that's just where I feel about that. But I just think as individuals, I think what can make America great again on an individual level is learning how to take pride in yourself, respect people, and learn kindness. I mean, the only way you can make America great again is starting with yourself. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, because you're only responsible for you. And if you're not in line with what you need to do or don't have the traits that you need to be kind to others, I don't see how you can expect other people to. So really, it should all start with us, and we should learn to be better people ourselves. And I'm not saying that everybody's bad people. I'm just saying each of us can play a role in changing our outcome if we all just work together and, progress instead of fighting with each other. So, yeah, that's how I think we can make America great. It starts with us, and it starts with kindness.
I really like that, because I always say I mourn the loss of agree to disagree. It's kind of like, whatever happened to that? Why can't people talk civilly and say, well, I think this, but you think that, but not get angry about it and just listen to the point of view? You don't have to agree with it, but you don't hate the person because they think differently. And in the end, you just say, well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, but let's work together to accomplish this good thing. So I think that's great. Neo?
I'm not really doing a good job of answering your question, Kat. I just thought Dylan had a really good point about energy independence, and you guys know I'm in the energy sector. And just to add to that, hydroelectricity is one of the cleanest, purest forms of doing electricity, Dylan. And it's like, you got to throw that. Your speech was awesome, by the way, and you got to throw that in there too. And it's like, we have an abundance of it, and it drives me crazy. Trust me, working in the industry is like. And living in a state where we're talking about ripping down dams for salmon, et cetera. But again, back to the energy independence thing. And also, Mar did a great job, and congratulations on your puppy.
Thank you, Neo. So again, for people that came in a little late, the topic is Make America Great Again, as a slogan, but more like
not as a Trump hating thing. It's about
correct.
the slogan, right? Now we can hear you
Right.
better, so I'm kind of just bantering with you on that to make sure the people that came in understand.
Right. So I want to know what people think would make America great again, something different, just like one segment, one topic. And, what would you like to see done and how would you see that accomplished? Nikki?
Hey there. I think it's a hard question about like what would make America great again. I think if there's one obvious answer, um, it's actually been floated previously in campaigns, and that's taco trucks on every corner. I think if we're going to make America great again, we need greater access to good Mexican food across the country and not just in Texas.
I'm all for that, man. You got some good points tonight on that.
Sure.
But no, but seriously though, I think that the significant material deprivation that many people face from having improper access to healthcare is a major source of stress and pain in the lives of a lot of people. And the feeling that you can't afford to lose your job because you'll lose your health care. And so I'd like to see basic medical care available to everyone, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of whether you have a job or not at any given time. Here's your Medicaid card. Go get your cleaning, go get your, checkup, make sure you don't have, cancer until it's too late. I think that providing not the full Medicare for all, but just giving people that ability to be not worried about if they get hit by a bus or if they need to take care of their kids' medication, that they won't have to worry about losing their health insurance. I think a better social safety net, not necessarily one that breaks the bank, but just one that gives people that assurance and that sense of not being afraid, would give people the flexibility to take more risks in life. It's hard to get people to start businesses today because if you start a business and you fail, which is pretty likely, you can wipe out your savings. You can significantly encumber your family because they might not be able to afford a place to live. They might not be able to get the healthcare they need. There are a lot of sacrifices that business owners and entrepreneurs make in order to do that. And I think that we need to make those enterprises easier. And I think we need to do, as a big part of that is making it so that if you're taking a risk, starting a new venture, whether that's a tech company, a restaurant, being a tour guide, being a Republican political consultant and running your little consulting company, that you're not balancing everything on a knife's edge. So if we could inspire more entrepreneurism in this country, more risk taking, rather than a lot of very careful and cautious behavior, which is kind of where we're at now in a lot of ways, I think that would be great again.
Can you rap, Nikki?
Say again?
Can you rap, Nikki? I mean, wrap it up.
My name is Nikki, and I have a point. I can't really rap without smoking a joint.
He did what you said, Kat. He rapped. See, he listens well.
That's why I tried to correct myself right away, because I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a song.
Nah, you stepped in it. It was okay. You stepped in it. So, anyways,
I opened
Nick,
the door.
Did you want any final thoughts on that, Nikki? I guess so. Cats can. That's what she, I think, wanted.
Nope, I don't have any more things to rap, unfortunately. But no, I had finished right as she started to try to say that. So,
oh, thank you. And you have a good point. I don't know what that would look like or how we would accomplish that, but I certainly understand. Judge, I know that you've been busy. You're probably tired, but I am really curious what you think about what would make America great again if you're there.
And he's the final thoughts after you, Cats.
Well, honestly, what I think would make America great again is if we could push aside so much of the partisanship and really.
Yeah, he's talking, Cats.
Can you hear me now?
Wait, we can hear you, Judge. You can hear us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Cats can't hear you for a second, it looks like, but go ahead and keep talking, Judge.
I was going to say, if we could put aside so much of the partisanship, and I'm probably repeating a lot of what others have already said, but this is what I really feel, especially having gone through this election cycle. I just see that so many people now, compared to what it was like even just 10, 15, 16 years ago, so many more people see politics dogmatically and their own personal politics dogmatically, like it's a religion instead of actual religion. And while I'm not trying to preach at anybody or pontificate or trying to tell you should subscribe to the same religion as me, although I would love it if you did, I just feel like politics should not fill that particular void in our lives. And I think the fact that we've allowed it to has really hurt our country. It's hurt our world. And we need to back off from it and get back to a point where we can have civil discourse, respect our fellow man and fellow woman, our fellow citizen, our brothers and sisters as fellow children of God, and understand and appreciate that if they have different views, it's okay, that it's not going to be the end of our world for someone else to disagree with us. What would be the end of our world is if we want to fight about those disagreements to the point that we want to destroy our.
Thanks, Judge. And the Cats has got to step out of the room because she got that glitch that Sean's been talking about, where she couldn't hear. So, we appreciate your take on that, Judge, and I agree. We just, I would add to that because I feel like there are people, you know, that wanted to just bring a divide. They don't want to find a way to find common ground with each other. It seems like there's been that push to just divide people and not find a way to understand each other and figure out common ground. Because just because I have a different opinion than Nikki doesn't mean that we don't have something in common, like, or that we both like technology. That's something in common. We both like tacos. It sounds like taco trucks and food. I don't eat taco trucks, but I like Mexican food. You know, you find common ground. What's one common ground that we can all find? Food. Somebody brought that up a couple days ago, didn't they? Let's in one of our spaces, like food is a common ground for us. You there, Let's?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you remember hearing that? I forget who brought that up, but somebody talked about how food is a good way to bring people together. Was it Matt
I think so.
that brought that up? Yeah, and he's right. Like, why can't we find something that we can agree on when we may not agree on everything in the first place, but we can still find something we agree on and find a way to understand each other. Go ahead, Judge.
I was going to say it's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the biggest spaces I ever hosted, we completely walked away from that night, and we talked about things that reminded us of when we were younger. The things that we would cook with our families, the memories that inspired, and the values that we learned from our parents and grandparents, just, doing things like that, not just around the holidays, but, like at Sunday dinners and, things that were important. And we spent an almost 3 hour space talking about food and comfort and what made us, happy. And very little of it was politics, actually, which was strange for a night court space, but it was actually very enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So, Kat, do you want final thoughts on all this with people jumping into that? I brought up food, if you want to bring it up, and that's what Judge was talking about. I said, food is a way to bring people together when we want to find common ground. I brought my take when you weren't in the room of, I feel like people don't want to find a way to agree, but a lot of times if they would just find common ground, and one of them is food, and we had Matt when we did, I think, late night garage the other night, bring up that food is a good way for people to get away from just everything divisive because they just want to divide. So I had brought that point up while you were gone, and I'll let you close out with your thoughts.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me okay now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good deal. Actually, I think if you remove co-hosts, because the minute you did that, I could hear the judge. So if we get that glitch again, maybe we'll go that route. Anyway, that sucked because I wanted to hear what he said. But anyway, I appreciate
But
everyone.
I updated you on it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate everyone's contributions. Those were really wonderful. I hope that was a nice break from everything election. Again, the election obviously is of great importance. I can't emphasize that enough. I know you know this. I'm preaching to the choir. But again, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, Katz. Let's go over the guidelines again. We are about to step into a lot of election talk. If you've got election questions, Nikki will probably have his take on things with the election as well, which is fine from the Democratic side because he and Let's are my co-hosts on Sunday night for Late Night Garage, which I hope you guys can come this Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we do. It's laid back, but we do get down to business some, and there is a schedule on some of these things. But before we do that, Katz, go ahead and go over the guidelines, and then I want to do a couple things as we jump right into election because it's huge right now.
All right, I will be glad to do that. Absolutely. We're freedom thinkers here in the Conservative Political Forum. We believe in and value our constitutional rights. That document is a gift. It's just awesome. We recognize that even amongst ourselves, we're going to have varied opinions. This forum is a safe place for everybody We don't tolerate personal attacks. We don't do raised voices. We ask that you are considerate persons who prefer not to hear profanity. Think of it overall as like a PG room. Be self-aware of your mic time. We want to make sure everyone who wants to contribute to a particular topic is able to.
Thank you, Katz. Yes, so next week we've got another election, overtime election stuff with Nikki. We'll go back to headlines, but it'll be all about election, with Nikki being a co-host, and everything. And we're just gonna hit election stuff head on. But Nikki, go ahead and bring a preview of next week's next week, what you're going to be talking about in overtime, because I think it's a good topic that everybody should be listening to.
Hey, so one of the fun things about politics that is perhaps a little less well known is the degree to which those of us who work in the industry, and it is a shame that Sean isn't here because he's usually the one I pick on when talk about this, but I guess Dylan kind of, and Judge maybe indirectly as a candidate, and Let's as a volunteer, is the degree to which we make use of significant sources of data in order to reach out to voters and to persuade voters and to decide which voters even to try to persuade. We amass very large databases of every single person in the district, and sometimes also of all the people who could vote but are not currently registered. And we augment that data with other data from your magazine subscriptions and other lists that we can buy. Magazine subscriptions is one of the old examples. It's other things now. And then we target you. We call you. We text you. We mail you things. We come to your door. We knock on your door. We harass the hell out of you until you either tell us to go away or you tell us to that you're going to vote for our candidate. And the question is basically, to what degree, from a voter side of the things, to what degree should you be able to avoid that? To what degree should you be able to tell campaigns, I don't want you to harvest my data. I don't want you to micro-target me. I don't want you to call me on the phone. I don't want you to come knock on my door. I would like to have my privacy, and I will make up my decisions myself about who to vote for. Please don't harass me. Go away. And where should that line be between the need of political campaigns and candidates to market to private citizens and the desire of citizens to tell political campaigns to stuff it and to maintain their privacy and their right to be, not harassed. So that's what we're going to be discussing next Wednesday.
Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate you, my brother. It's going to be a good topic. So I'm glad nobody raised their hand, because I would have said, sorry, you don't get to talk about this. That's the teaser for next week. So, but nobody did, so we're good there. All right. Moving to the next part of tonight, and this is a huge thing because we're going to be talking about it, and I would love it if you guys, let people know about Sunday night, Late Night Garage. We go through a few candidates. I think this week we'll do that. We'll go through some, Nikki and we'll go through some candidates. If you have questions, you'll message me of the candidates you missed, and I will then read the messages after we go through all the candidates to Nikki and and we'll respond to those. And so that's going to be where I'll be able to get your questions to them at the end of Late Night Garage after they've gone through some candidates. Then I will read your questions to them, and you guys can respond too, but I'm going to bring up your questions to them so that they can specifically answer those. But as far as tonight, we kind of want to go around. Let's has been studying up on a lot of election stuff. He is going to be calling races for I think it's a Senate. Let's on Conservative Political Forum night. Is that correct?
What was that? Sorry, I'm here.
Are you calling? Are you calling races for the Senate on the forum night or the governors?
Governor.
He's going to be our governor. He's going to be our governor person, and we're going to call races as they go. So when we find out that one is called, we're going to call it, and we're going to be talking about it. And we want you guys to be here. You can pitch in on some things, and so we want you to be a big part of it. It's definitely going to be interactive and a lot of fun, and we're just going to have a blast. But as far as your questions tonight that you might have, we can open the floor with your hands on races that you want to know about, and your opinion. You want to get opinions on it. We can, we got the judge here. By the way, Judge, I'm so blessed to see you here, brother. I miss you, and we'll just go from there. But we'll start with Kat's. Kat's hand is raised. So, Kat's, what's your question on a race?
Okay. Well, I'd actually like to hear from Nikki on this. And I know it's been all over everywhere today. Maybe people are sick of hearing about it, but it's the Fetterman versus Oz race. So, of course, the debate took place, and, most people would say that Fetterman just utterly failed, that he really showed that, unfortunately for him, that he's just simply not capable of doing that job at this time. But still, even after his failure, Democratic media were still praising him and saying how good he did and this and that. I don't understand the thing with him from the get-go, having nothing to do with him having a stroke, but just his whole life story, that he's never really had a job, and, mommy and daddy paid his way for everything. And I mean, that whole thing to me just seems super, super weird. And his objectives, like releasing criminals from prison and all of that, are just seem like really, really radical and really strange, to the point of, I don't know, like unhinged.
Let me say one more thing, Katz. When you have Nikki going to answer this, we're going to have a counter from the conservative in the room that responds to this stuff in Let's Talk. So everybody can address us, either Let's or Nikki, on their questions with this, and anybody else that wants to jump in. But when Nikki talks, Let's gets his rebuttal as the conservative in the room. Just so you know, Katz.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So
because Nikki's bringing his Democratic perspective.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. So I guess with Nikki, I think maybe the only conservative or Democrat in here. I was curious of his take on Fetterman.
So I think the best way to think about John Fetterman. Have you ever seen the musical The Music Man? Are you familiar, Katz?
No, unfortunately, not really.
Okay, well then this analogy won't work. But in the end, just to give you guys a brief rundown of The Music Man, there's a guy who comes to the town, says he's going to teach the kids to play in a band, but he doesn't actually know how. He orders all the instruments, the uniforms. They figure out that he's a fraud, but one of the kids in the band, one of the local kids, does manage to teach the kids the very basic beginnings of the Minuet in G, which is what he's been humming the whole thing. And the last scene of the show is them playing in like the worst way possible, but still playing the Minuet in G for all the parents and the things. And the parents are all crying out, "There's my little Johnny, there's my little," because all they really care about at the end of the day is seeing their kids play the thing and stand in the uniform and be cute. They don't care that the kids suck. All John Fetterman needed to do on that stage was get up there, give very basic answers that could be quoted in the press, and like not fall down. And he did that. The articles the next day there were a couple that mentioned, he stumbled over his words, but by and large, it became a question of his direct answers versus Oz looking slimy and telling women that they should want their local public officials involved in their abortion decisions. So, did he sound like the most polished speaker in the world? Absolutely not. Did he stumble over some answers and certainly stumble over some words? Yeah, absolutely. But he got through it, and I think that at the end of the day, that's all he needed to prove to voters, was that he was healthy enough to participate in the debate, to give basic answers, and to point out that whatever you think of him, Dr. Oz is going to be way worse for you. So.
All right, rebuttal time. What's your rebuttal to that?
Well, my rebuttal is, it does not matter whether John Fetterman can make his way through a debate, okay? I had a conversation with one of my family members about this earlier today, and they watched the debate this morning. I watched it last night after I got back from the rally. I could already notice stark differences. The fact that Fetterman couldn't even string sentences together, despite the fact you can see that he is unwell, that should be one of the number one issues for voters. Is this man fit? Is this man fit? Because I don't think he's fit. The fact that he had a very hard time answering questions. I mean, he had gaffes. I mean, we literally gave him what he wanted, which was reading off a screen, and he had a hard enough time with that. His answers were not his answers, while concise, had no not sentiment, but there weren't really answers. He was just saying very broad stuff. Meanwhile, I felt like Oz was actually giving more straightforward answers. He was being more upfront. He was being more straightforward. It felt more authentic with Oz, despite the fact that, Oz is, whatever you think of him. But Oz conducted himself very well, despite for that one abortion part. I felt that he answered the questions very well. Fetterman seemed to be having a really terrible time, and I don't believe that voters should, vote blue no matter who, but they should take into account they are electing this man to a 6-year term in the United States Senate, and they should be fully aware this man has health problems. And he literally just said, despite the fact that, it was requested that the moderators asked him about checking with his physician if he was healthy, he just said, "Oh, I'm completely healthy." So we're supposed to take his word for it from his physician. I mean, I'm sorry, but John Fetterman is not in good condition. He could have another stroke. He could be replaced by somebody else. I know this seat is important to Democrats. I understand that. But at the same time, it is not worth putting a man out there and trotting him out there when he could possibly have another health crisis. It's really not. And I think that matters more. That should matter more to voters than, oh, wow, Dr. Oz is a Trumpy, when he's really not. But that's just my take.
Thank you for your rebuttal. It looks like Nikki can have a short response, but anybody who raised their hand to talk about this issue, you can talk about this issue for a second, but we're gonna let if you have any other race questions too, it'd be great to bang through a bunch all over the country tonight.
Yeah, go ahead. After Nikki, ask any questions.
Definitely, yeah, definitely, and you can address who you want to ask first, Let's or Nikki. Then the other person gets a rebuttal. So those two are going to they're my election specialists, and we do the Sunday night and stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up. But Nikki, you got a counter, and Let's gets the final say on a counter because this is your second. This will be your second if Let's wants to respond again. Go ahead, Nikki.
Sure. This one's pretty straightforward. There have been any number of Republicans in the conservative political forum over the last couple of weeks who have been making the point to me very directly that Herschel Walker could literally have done anything unethical and they would still vote for him because he will vote for Republican policies. And at the end of the day, the Senate is about voting for Republican policies and not about any person's individual conduct. And I would just point out that no matter what you think of John Fetterman's health, he, in any condition, will be a better vote for women's rights, for education, for healthcare than Dr. Oz will be. And if that logic applies in Georgia, which I've heard over and over and over again to excuse Herschel Walker's ethical problems, like taking a woman and basically almost forcing her to get an abortion, as we learned about today. If that logic applies in Georgia, it sure as hell applies in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a response? Want your final rebuttal?
Yeah.
That you get one, because I'm going to make it. It's kind of debate format. I'm
I'll
enjoying
just make it quick.
this.
It's all good. Yeah, but I can see where you're coming from. But the difference with Herschel Walker is he doesn't have a health problem. He's having these scandals and allegations that are being put towards him. So I can see where you're coming from. But again, I can't defend that. He did the stuff. I'm not going to openly defend him. He did the stuff. It's up to the voters in Georgia whether they want him or not. Same thing like it's with the voters of Pennsylvania. But it's different with Fetterman because he has a health crisis. I openly admit that if this was a Republican, I would not want that for a Republican, despite the fact that, it's a seat. Because it would be a really hard sacrifice because it is a seat, but still, I do not believe that people that are in that condition should be running. And the fact that his own wife is still letting him do that is just not, it's kind of selfish a little bit. Like, I don't understand. The man needs to just be at home, recover. Does he really think he's suited for a 6-year term in the U.S. Senate? And I know that you say he could be a better vote than Dr. Oz. Well, we don't know what Dr. Oz is like. You and I see things differently, Nikki. I'm on one side, you're on the other side. So you may see things differently than I do, but I could think that Oz is a hell of a lot better than John Fetterman because, I see John Fetterman's record and I'm not the most keen on it. But I do see where you're coming from at the same time, though. It's just a different dynamic.
I'd just like to say very quickly, let me get 5 seconds.
He's the final word, though, on this one. That's all. But go ahead.
I think it's fair to get a couple seconds. And just to ask this, if Fetterman were a Republican and the roles were switched, are you really telling me you would be saying that they shouldn't vote for the Republican?
It'd be a hard risk, but I would probably not put an endorsement out because I just wouldn't. I wouldn't.
And I, as the host of the Conservative Political Forum, since you brought up the Conservative Political Forum and Herschel Walker's issues, I wholeheartedly do not agree with what Herschel Walker has done. I do not think it's right, and I don't agree with it. So I agree that it's up to Let's Talk. It's up to the voters to decide there. I'm not in Georgia, but because you brought up the Conservative Political Forum, I must, as the host, stand up and on record say that the Conservative Political Forum does not agree with what Herschel Walker has done and the stuff coming out. We do not agree, and I just wanted to put that on record as the host, just because that stuff is not good. So, but thank you, Nikki, and Let's on that one. Yeah, you guys, this is fun. Michael, do you have a question about a race, and who do you want to address first, the Republican, or do you want to go to the Democrat first with your question?
My question's about the Tiffany Smiley and Patty Murray race, and I will be addressing Let's Talk. And
okay. What would you like to know about it?
Do you think there is any legitimate chance that with the debate that happened this week that Tiffany will be able to unseat Patty Murray?
Well, many people believed, and these were probably people that I had, talked to in certain chats, that they looked at Tiffany Smiley as a very good candidate. They believed that she was great. She was pretty good on the issues, complete contrast from Patty Murray. I only watched bits and pieces of the debate, but I think Tiffany Smiley conducted herself very well. She answered questions pretty thoroughly, and I think she was much better in contrast than the longstanding incumbent, of course, Patty Murray. But with the fact that it is still Washington, many people that I have talked to in recent polls still show it. Some polls show it in safe. They show it over 10 points. But I do not. I believe that Tiffany Smiley will be able to help Republicans down ballot in Washington, depending in certain congressional districts. I mean, even though not anywhere outside of Seattle, but she'll be able to do that. But it's very hard for me to see her winning, especially with her debate performance, because sometimes debates. The thing with debates is sometimes they'll be able to engage with voters' minds and get them thinking, oh, who should I vote for? Because believe it or not, there's still people right now that are still undecided here in America on who they want to vote for, and then sometimes there could be big percentages of undecideds that could still be up in the last few weeks. But really thinking about it, Tiffany Smiley's run a great campaign, and I've kept track of it a little bit. It's just I find it very hard to believe that she'll be able to beat Patty Murray because of Seattle, how big of a cornerstone of Washington it is, and the fact that this is a state that Joe Biden won easily by over 20 points or around that. And I would say that at the end of the day, it'll probably be somewhere in the likely. I think Tiffany Smiley will lose to Patty Murray, maybe about 7 or 8 points, but I still think that'll be significant. Mainly, I think it'll be significant because it will have shown that Washington is, it's moving a little bit to the right from 2020, of course, but I wouldn't say it's in lean. I've heard so many people say that this could have been a race that could have been competitive, but in recent months it's just not transpired, and I think the debate's already too late, and it really sadly is, and I really wish it wasn't that way. But debates are sometimes just for entertainment, or not entertainment, but it's to also get engage with the voters. But sometimes voters have already made up their minds and they're going to stick to their guns, and there's really nothing that we can do. But I think she'll probably lose by a likely margin to Patty Murray, sadly. But she could, like I said, help Republicans up and down ballot. And the same applies in New York, all of that. It's helping those Republicans up and down the ballot. And if that can help us, in the House, that's great. It really is. That's whether that's state level or for the, the U.S. Congress itself.
All right, Nikki gets a response as well. What are your thoughts, Nikki?
She's going to get creamed.
And that's it? Your thoughts are just that right there?
Yeah. She's
okay.
Going to be a massive blowout, and for all the people on here who think that it's going to be a close race, they're going to be very, very sorely disappointed.
Okay, so I don't think Let's has a response with that because he was thinking he was going to lose too. So, but I'm going to jump in and say I don't believe she's going to get creamed. I don't believe she's going to win, though, Michael. That's my thoughts. Unfortunately, King County is it runs a lot of stuff in this state, sadly, and it's very, very blue. I would love to see her win. As far as being creamed, Nikki, by creamed, why don't you give me a percentage? Because I don't think it's going to be a creaming. I think it's going to be a closer race than you think. What's the percentage?
I haven't looked at the last time she ran, but I'll say it's at minimum double digits. But give me a second to pull up 2016, and I can give you a much better answer. So,
you mean the last time Patty Murray ran?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it. I'm just going to tell you right now that the Tiffany Smiley movement is growing in Washington State. I'm not saying she's going to win. I agree with you and Let's on this to answer Michael's question about it, but I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be by as much as you might be thinking, a double-digit points or anything.
So I just looked it up. She won by 18 last time in 2016. The national environment is probably a few points less favorable than that. That wasn't a great year for us. So yeah, I'm confident enough to say that it's going to be double digits. It might only be 11 or 12. It won't be 20, but yeah,
okay.
It'll be
all
double.
Right. We'll see where that goes. I think it will be under 10. That's my opinion. If you saw the race last year, the attorney race, the Seattle attorney was not supposed to win, and she won she won. Like, she wasn't supposed to win. The attorney had won. So that's living out here. I have to respond in there just because I kind of follow it. I don't think Tiffany Smiley's going to win, like I said, either, but she's not going to get creamed. I don't believe that, but we'll see. I mean, that's why we do these, so we can talk about it and kind of go over it. Thank you, Nikki and Let's on that one. Jeannie, do you have a race you want to talk about other than the Tiffany Smiley and Patty Murray one now?
I was going to ask about Marco Rubio. How's he doing against, who is it, Val Demings?
That's a good one. Who do you want to address first? Do you want Nikki to respond, or do you want Let's?
Oh, I'd like to hear Nikki do that one.
All right, so Nikki will start. Let's gets the rebuttal. Nikki gets a rebuttal if he doesn't agree with Let's, and then Let's gets the final rebuttal on this one since you're starting with Nikki. Go ahead, Nikki.
So this is Florida, right? Florida Senate.
Florida Senate.
Okay. Give me. I honestly haven't looked at. I'll say this. I think Val Demings is probably the best candidate that we could come up with in Florida. So, I mean, I think we did phenomenally well in terms of candidate recruitment for that race. I also think that, it's Florida after all. And, no matter what you think of the quality of your candidates, the odds of a Democrat winning in Florida at this point is pretty low. I think that Republicans will win that with a likely margin. So high single digits, maybe even low double digits.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. Rebuttal, Let's.
Yeah, so I do not like Val Demings, obviously. I don't think she's that good of a candidate, but I do think that Marco Rubio won't perform. Many people have speculated whether or not DeSantis will perform better than Rubio, which could be a possibility. I personally say that Rubio still wins outright because it is Florida, and like Nikki said, and obviously I agree, it's Florida. But I still think he'll probably. I mean, Reese, I think I could say on average he probably win by high single digits. So let's say 9 points at the worst, maybe 12 or 11 at the best. Probably it's going to be a decrease, but I still think he wins somewhere around that margin. So that's from what I've looked at.
All right. Do you have a rebuttal without Nikki, or are we good there?
I guess I would just ask our lovely Republican correspondent, is there a single Democratic candidate for a major office that you do like? Is there anyone where you're like, yeah, I prefer the Republican, but that Democrat's pretty good. And if
That's not a fair question though, because he's a conservative and you're a Democrat.
No,
Nikki,
I mean,
you know
I can tell.
Wait, well,
he's spoken at you. Let's go ahead.
I want him to lose.
Say that again.
Can I say? Wait, it's only I'm going to say Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema.
No,
probably.
Current candidate. Joe Manchin's not.
Oh man, let me think. Who's running currently? I'll get back. Wait, dude.
Can't say Kristen Sinema either. She's not on the ballot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, don't bring race.
That's really hard.
That's it, basically.
All right, let's just leave it right there for now, because that's why you guys think differently, and Nikki, and that's why I have both of you guys responding, because
if I say Laura Kelly, can we end it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, there we go.
I don't want her to win, but she's a fine.
I would have said Tulsi Gabbard, but she's not a Democrat anymore, so she's an independent. So
I would have gone with Joy Hoffmeister in Oklahoma, who basically was a Republican until 6 months ago. But
that's
all right. So Dylan had his Katz had her hand up, and then Dylan. So Katz, what's your next race question you have?
All right. How about New York State Governor Lee Zeldin versus Kathy Hochul?
Nice.
Now, I didn't watch the whole debate. I saw some snippets, but to my understanding, there was a section where they had quite a few questions about crime, which is a big concern to New Yorkers. And it seemed like, from what I recall, that Kathy Hochul never really responded to anything. Like, she had no plan, and it came across like she didn't really give a hoot. And then she said something to Lee Zeldin, I don't remember her exact words, but it kind of sounded like asking him, like, why do you care so much about this? Which to me is like completely bizarre. Well,
Who do you want to address this first, by the way? I like to know that before you do it, just so that the person knows
oh,
who to respond
sure,
first.
sure. And then I'll say one more thing about it.
Yeah, no, go for it. I just want to know who you want to address so they can jump right in.
Okay, so Nikki. So today, Lee Zeldin did a press conference. I don't know if anybody saw that, but it was a pretty long press conference. I believe it was somewhere in the city. And it was with like a Sikh neighborhood and their businesses and the crime running rampant and how these business owners were besieged with crime, and it was really sad. So for Kathy Hochul to act that way, like crime no big deal, it's like, lady, you're coming across like you don't care if you win. I mean, I don't want her to win, obviously. I want New York to get cleaned up. I want New York City to be safe again for the people that live there, because it's really, really ridiculous. That is what I got to say.
All right, so it's me,
It's
right?
you. Yeah, it's you, Nikki.
Yeah, it's you.
Go ahead.
Cool. He's gonna get creamed
Again?
Oh yeah.
Another creaming?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is.
I knew he was going to say something like that too.
This
Well,
is.
hold on, Let's. You get a rebuttal, and you can fight back, but we'll let ridiculous creaming.
No, I know.
talk
I was just
go
going to
on.
say that. I wasn't going to say anything more.
Let me finish what I'm saying. I think that there are some polls recently that have suggested a closer race of like 5-6 points, but the fundamentals on this one are sound, and I think it is incredibly unlikely that she comes anywhere near 50%. She's going to be in the high 50s most likely, and so yeah, I feel extraordinarily comfortable that the Democrats will hold the New York governorship at this point. So yeah.
All right.
Your rebuttal, Let's.
Yeah, sure. It's very interesting with debate, what the debate brought to light, that Kathy, like Katz mentioned, that Kathy Hochul openly just said, why are you keep bringing that up? Maybe because crime is probably one of the most number one issues in your state, and the fact that nobody wants to go into the city at night is a major issue. Zeldin has been campaigning on crime. He's been campaigning hard in New York City. He's been campaigning with certain groups like Hasidic Jews and etc. I cannot see Kathy Hochul winning over 10 points. She's not popular. She's hated. Upstate New York doesn't like her. New York City doesn't like her, but you're going to have people that are going to still vote for her because they don't want a Republican governor. I cannot see this race being over 10. I could see it being 8. I could see it being 6. I could see it being 9. But anything over 10 is just very hard for me to believe, because I just don't see any, like, polling. Some polling is going to still have it in safe, but some more reliable polling that I'm seeing is having it below 10. So even if it's not like 5 or 6, and it could be the high, single nut digits, that's what I see. So I wouldn't say per se he's going to get creamed. I'm not sure if he's going to win, because it's New York. If he won, it's a miracle. It's George Pataki all over again. But you also have to take into account, we don't know what's going on in New York for the most part. Honestly, there's a bunch of polls that have like different statistics going on, but I would still think that Kathy Hochul is not popular, being more disliked than Cuomo. The fact that she, even saying about bringing back mask mandates and such if COVID's on the rise again. I mean, that's not stuff that Americans want to hear, or New Yorkers for that matter. They don't want to hear that. So I still think that this race is going to be under 10 regardless. I don't see it being in high single digits. You said high 50s. It's very hard for me to see that with how unpopular this woman has become.
Okay, so Chucky, Nikki's got a response. So go ahead, and then you get the final response on that. Let's.
You kept going on about how unpopular she's become. I just pulled up some of the most recent polling, and I'm curious if you can tell me what her favorability rating is in the state of New York right now, and what, say, Lee Zeldin's favorability rating is in the state of New York right now, if you're saying he's much more popular than she is.
Well, favorability can mean a numerous amount of things. The point is, though, her
job approval rate. Yeah, do you have a favorable opinion of this person? It's one of the most basic metrics of politicals, of whether the populace likes someone. It is the metric we use in campaigns to determine whether someone is popular. Like, I know you want to dodge the question because you don't know the number, but come on. Like, you and
I'm not going to dodge the question.
Okay, do you know the number?
If I remember correctly, the favorability for her was I can't remember the exact number, but it said that she has a slight lead over Zeldin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's at 44, he's at 43.
It's ever so close, though. It's ever so close.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is she's not horrifically unpopular. She's not Kate Brown unpopular. She is vaguely unpopular, and he is also fairly unpopular. So it's not surprising that, and this is the biggest thing, 92% of Democrats in the state of New York are supporting Kathy Hochul, and it's a similar number for Republicans. Independents are breaking for Zeldin. The thing is, it's a massively Democratic state, and if you're going to beat a Democrat in the state of New York, you need to get them under probably 80%, or at least under 85, and that's not happening. Democrats aren't breaking with her. That's why she's going to win this thing easily.
All right, final rebuttal for Let's on this one, and then we'll go to Dylan, who was next.
Yes, sorry. I would not say there is a very good chance. I mean, I would say people still believe that it's 50-50. More people are losing a little bit of faith in Zeldin because it's New York. If Kathy Hochul wins, I kind of am not going to be surprised. But I still don't know if she's going to take this thing by over 10. That's where I lie with this. Because, again, we stated that the favorabilities were very close. Not that that really matters. But just because she's up by a little bit does not mean that this race could still not be, significantly close, under 10 points. That's what I'm trying to say. Not even if she wins, I still see this being a much closer race than people would have been expecting months ago. That's kind of what my point is. Again, I can't say the polling is completely wrong because it's New York. I mean, I knew this from the very beginning that it's New York. But I just think of it this way. I think Zeldin is going to perform a bit better than we could give him credit for because of what he's done. I don't know about Hochul, because people say how unpopular Hochul is. I mean, I know that you said those numbers have her a little above Zeldin, but still, from what everybody says about New York, they really don't like her. And the fact that it's awfully that close shows that while Zeldin may not have the highest favorability, I guess, many people still approve of him over Hochul. It's sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but I just see it as, may I ask where you got that? Is that on a certified website?
That's literally straight from Quinnipiac. And I'm sure that other numbers are going to show similar ratios. So I can look up some of the other recent polling, Marist.
So that is from Quinnipiac. Sorry,
yeah, that is from their website. That is the PDF of that poll result from like a couple of days ago, like literally the 22nd of October.
But still, I would think that even if he does lose, which I'm not going to be surprised if he does, I still think he'll perform decently and help Republicans up and down ballot, especially in congressional races.
That's fair. And I will say I'm glad this is going to be recorded, because there are some times where Let's and I are agreeing on what our take is going to be. And then there are some times where he's making a very different prediction from me. And so we can go back after the election and, see who's right.
That'll be fun. Why not? Right.
I think
I can't wait to get shamed if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but Nikki will get shamed if he's wrong too, and he thinks he's right on everything. So it'll be fun.
Sure.
It'll be fun.
I just want to clarify. I don't try to get mean with anybody. I'm just having a normal debate here. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. No, that's good. But let's move on. Dylan had his hand up and was disconnected, but I caught that his hand was up next. Dylan, do you have a race you want to bring up? And please address the person you want to start it, because the other one gets a rebuttal. It's like it's kind of cool how we're doing it. So go ahead, Dylan.
Can I jump in really fast just to clarify something before you do that?
Okay.
And that is just to say, in response to what we were just talking about, that often, I'm not saying you've been doing this, Let's, but people will often in these sorts of political conversations make predictions that are essentially unfalsifiable, where they can always pretend like they said the other thing, or they always couch it or clarify, like put little things in so that, when the result doesn't go the way that they're predicting, they can walk it back or say, no, I didn't really mean that, or
Can you
whatever.
give us an example, like of something like that? Because I'd like to know what you mean by that. Because
Well,
seriously,
making a
I'm
prediction
curious.
that he's like gonna do better than we thought he was gonna do, or something like
Oh,
that, or opinion like that.
okay.
Like, okay, well, what does that mean? How? So I always want people, when I'm talking about stuff like this, to basically give me the case for what will an election night look like where you are wrong. Tell me what the outcome would be where your prediction right now is incorrect. And so I appreciated Let's being willing to say, for him, that's an election where Kathy Hochul wins by double digits, because that's
So,
not.
like when I said that I think Tiffany Smile will not lose, will be under 10% losing. That's good, right?
That is a falsifiable prediction. That is a prediction where we can say he was right or he was wrong. But if you're
Okay,
saying
good,
things
good.
like, I feel like the vibes on election night are not going to go well for, Raphael Warnock. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? And you'll
People
hear a
say
lot of
that
that.
the
People say
vibes.
that.
People say stuff like that all the time to try to sound smart in these types of conversations, when really what they're trying to do is say something that no one can prove them wrong about.
I got you. No, that's good, and I agree. We don't want to do that because I don't. Somebody shouldn't. Well, I didn't quite say that. I said this. No, you gotta. It's got to be right or wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. And I know you will too, Nikki. Even though you like to say you're right about everything, if you're wrong, you admit when you're wrong. So, but
Absolutely.
you don't do that. So that's yeah. No, I get that completely. What do you think, Let's? I think that's good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So, Dylan, what race do you want to bring up? And please address the person you want to start it.
Okay. So it's here in California. It's the district directly above me. It's a congressional race between Alex. Wait, no. Yeah, Adam Gray and Duarte. I don't know if you know anything about either of those two men, but you brought up the point earlier of, could you have a Democrat that would win that you'd actually be like okay with? And actually, Adam Gray, I've met him. I would say that he is one of those people that if he did win over Duarte, I'd be okay with that. He's currently an assemblyman, and from the bills that he's passed, he's actually been pretty moderate when it comes to a Democrat. He has been grifting though, so he's been trying to take more of like a libertarian stance on things that he can, trying to pull in like that little bit of a margin of Republicans that aren't exactly for Trump, because Duarte kind of pulls on that. So just your thoughts on that.
Do you and who first, Dylan?
Ooh, let's go with Nikki.
All right, and if you guys need a moment to look them up, that's cool. Just so you can kind of see
Yeah,
where
I was trying to
you're at with
Google
that.
which district they were running in. District
Because
13.
I don't want to throw you in the loop, Nikki, without kind of knowing it. And same with you, Let's. If you want to look that up real quick, kind of see what's up with that. Unless you already know something about that race, Nikki, do you? And he's going with you first, anyways, right, Dylan? You said Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki.
Give me about 20 seconds.
We can do that.
You
We
got
can
it.
do that. So what? They're running for district, Dylan. What?
Well, so it's a
It looks like it's
congressional
21.
district. Yeah, 21. Yeah, my bad. Why I was thinking CA 13.
No, it's 13.
Is it 13?
It's 13.
It's 13?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's either 13 or 21.
I think it's 21 is his current House district, his state House district or state Senate district.
Yeah, it's 13.
Yep.
I was looking at the wrong one.
I'm ready to go when you guys would like me to go.
Go ahead.
So this is a district where, the fundamentals slightly favor Democrats. And the race ratings essentially put it at a slight favorite. God, I can't talk. I would say that, we've got like a, 60-40 chance of picking up the seat of either picking up or keeping the seat, I guess would be the, I don't actually know who the incumbent is for this one. But I feel like, if it's a good night nationally, or it's an even, average night nationally, we probably win this seat. And if it's a bad night nationally, then we probably don't. Because all it will take is, 3 to 4 point swing to switch this, maybe even less than that.
So from what I've seen, this race is obviously in toss-up, but I think it definitely depends on, like, similar to what Nikki said, the national environment. It really depends how well. I mean, I'd be interested to see if Brian Dow, if he's going to help any of the Republicans down ballot in California, which I kind of find it hard to believe, as he's going to get creamed. But I would say that looking here, it's said that long-term trends for Republicans seem to be favored. And meanwhile, nothing's been said about, there is no incumbency advantage. This is an incumbent, but it doesn't seem to be a factor for this race specifically. So I know that Dylan stated that he wouldn't mind having Adam Gray as being the Democrat there, but it'd still be good to have John Duarte win there. But I would say it really, just like I said before, it depends on the swing, especially in California. It depends on the nation. I think that is a possibility we could win the seat. But then again, I would not be surprised if the Democrats won it. So I would lean more towards 50-50, because I really just am not sure how this race, as it's one of these House races I didn't really look at before much, or I haven't looked at in a while. So I would just say, really, again, depends on how California votes down ballot, probably.
All right. Any final rebuttals on that, or are we good with that race, guys?
We are good. I think we both agree on that one.
All right, cool. All right, let's go to Austin, who has his hand up. Austin, do you have a question about a race in the country, anywhere in the country?
Yeah, actually, it's a bit about across the country. Normally I'm doing foreign policy stuff, so I'm real curious about, the more domestic side of things. My question, it's a bit of a fun one here, is I would like to hear from each side sort of talking about the opposite party here, Let's and Nikki, on what's a race that they can see quite easily. It may be a bit of a toss-up right now, but they can see sort of going the other way. So an example would be, Let's being like, oh, I can see Wisconsin going Dem, or Nikki saying like, oh, I can see Arizona going Republican. What's the big spoiler for the opposite side in each of y'all's opinion?
That's a really good question,
That's a good
Austin.
question.
I like that. Yeah. Who do you want to go first with that, Austin?
Let's start it off.
Okay.
Alrighty, let me think. I would say.
Before you do that, I want to add this. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I like what Austin said there. So what we're going to do is you're going to say your race, and then Nikki's going to respond to what you said on yours, and see if he agrees with you or what. And then what do you think of that, Austin? Because I don't want to jump into your segment.
So this
we'll have Nikki. What was that, Austin?
I said I think that makes a ton of sense.
And then we'll do Nikki's. And then Let's gets to respond.
So this is specifically a race that I was a little bit confused on the last part.
Go ahead, Austin. Give the rules. It's for you want to see who Let's thinks might go Democratic, right, Austin? And you want to see who Nikki thinks might go Republican.
Yeah, that's easy. I got that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I got it. I just didn't know if you were like saying hypothetical. Yeah, sure. Pennsylvania governor.
And can you explain more? I mean, he probably would like to know a little more.
Oh, sorry. I thought he just wanted the answer.
No, he probably wants. Do you want to hear more than that? I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
So Pennsylvania governor Doug Mastriano was kind of a surprise candidate from very early on. Everybody was anticipating that Lou Barletta was going to win the primary, and he was going to come in, but Mastriano swept him by over 20 points in said primary. So he was our guy. It seemed like with Mastriano that we would be able to beat Shapiro with how disliked Shapiro seemed to be, how he underperformed in 2020 in his attorney general's race. But the problem is we slowly started to see that the polling that had Shapiro ahead was starting to widen. We had the fact that Mastriano's campaign was starting to fall apart. He wasn't having the funding. He wasn't having the money that was given to him. Well, I made fun of Shapiro's campaign for certain things that he did. Shapiro has leverage with the fact that he is in a good position. He's attorney general. He has money. He has funding. He has these endorsements. He has the Democrats helping him out. Mastriano's struggling, unlike Oz is. Oz is doing very well against Fetterman in the Senate. And then you see this, you can anticipate there's going to be split ticketing that's going to be happening within the state. It'll be one of the top 5 states that's going to have split ticketing. People that are going to vote for Oz are probably going to vote for Shapiro. That could especially happen in Philly. Doug Mastriano would have to win 20% in Philadelphia, and many people are underestimating that he could do that. If he doesn't do that, then he's screwed right off the bat, which is why people are anticipating that he could win, that he could lose by anywhere from like 5 points. Some Democrats say even more than 5 points, even barely hitting double digits, because the latest poll had him behind by 9 percentage points. But I think that Pennsylvania, it's gone. There's no recovering Pennsylvania for Republicans. Doug Mastriano is going to lose in 13 days.
All right, Nikki, what do you think of Letz's his comments on that one, agreeing on the Democratic side?
I mean, yeah, we're going to win Pennsylvania governor overwhelmingly. Not to beat a dead horse, but Mastriano is going to get creamed.
All right, so now what is your take on a Republican side that's going to win? For Austin's question,
this one was hard to admit, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be I think it's going to be the South Carolina probate judge in Florence County.
No, you're not getting off that easy. No,
you're doing like a governor.
No. That doesn't answer Austin's question.
Hey,
He
I have
wants
a
to know
whole
whether
spiel worked out, and you're
the
killing
judge
my
is going to
joke.
win his. The judge is going to win his, but we all support the judge. So
I'm all
we
for
want one of the bigger races. I want a response from you,
hate
Nikki, on a
you,
bigger
'cause
race.
I worked a whole thing while Let's was talking, and I was going to talk about how there's this
But
great
no.
Republican. It's a Democratic district, but there's a great Republican incumbent.
You're not going to get let off that
so
easy.
hard,
No. I agree with
bipartisan,
Let's. You're not getting off that
on,
easy.
like,
We all love the
fundraising,
judge.
and he's got this weird Twitter army behind him that just keeps.
Nikki, you literally made fun of me earlier for saying there wasn't a Democrat I didn't like. Come on.
Eddie supported. So we want you to give a big race in the country to answer Austin's question.
Sure. It's I mean, if we're talking about a race that we are favored in, we should be favored in, there are really two options, and I can do either one. It's either Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada, because she's like the only incumbent who is right now favored to lose, Democratic incumbent, and for which, if she wins, we're much more likely to get 51 seats or hold the Senate. And if she loses, I don't think we're guaranteed not to keep the Senate, but it would be, not great. But the one that I think will be a shocker for more people would be Oregon, because I think most voters have not been aware of that race at all, and at least according to the polling, there's a very real chance that Christine Drazan could be the next governor of Oregon, which is also shocking because she's a pro-life, vocally pro-life Republican in a year where Democrats are running on the abortion issue in a role that actually has a lot of say over abortion, which is governor. And so I think, and that race is a phenomenal example of candidate quality matters a lot. And the notion that voters only care about who's going to vote yes and who's going to vote no, like I hear all the time in the Georgia Senate race, is belied by races like Oregon governor, where having somebody like Tina Kotek, who is legitimately unpopular and is trying to replace a Democrat who is legitimately unpopular, one of the most unpopular governors in the country, Kate Brown, with a charismatic, bipartisan, mom, younger-ish, like not horribly old, just somebody that comes across when you're listening to her talk as an eminently reasonable person. I think that, it's a great example of if you pick good people, you can convince a lot of voters who don't care about party label, and that voters will, in fact, overlook your party label if they don't like the other guy, which is another reason why I think the stuff against Walker will hurt, because at the end of the day, he's not likable. But the biggest question for that race is just how many of the third-party candidates' voters stay with that third-party candidate or drift back toward the Democrat when they think, oh, well, I may not like her, I may think she's horrible, but I don't want this Republican woman to win. And I don't know what that number is going to be, but I think there's a very good chance that the Republican wins in Oregon.
Thank you. So that was his. You don't really have anything to add to that, right?
I just say, I agree with that. Oregon with the third party, with Betsy Johnson in the third party, it's a very good shot that we can have that we can win the Oregon governorship for the first time in 40 years.
Cool. Yeah. So before we go on, and next will be Brock to ask an election question for a big race across the country, and then Katz. Nikki, I want you to now talk about our favorite probate judge that we all love, because I want to give him a lot of respect. We love him. I seriously love the man, and I know all of you guys do. He's an amazing man. So go ahead, Nikki. Go ahead and bring up that now. I didn't want to shut you down. I just wanted you to answer Austin's question. So go ahead, Nikki.
That's fair. I was hoping to. I really wanted the joke because I was hoping to see how long it would take people to recognize that I was talking about a certain person in the space themselves, and then of course you caught it immediately and cut me off, like you enjoy doing. You are like the ruiner of fun. Every time I try to play a trick or have a little fun, you just like completely. Why aren't you talking about Washington Senate? We need to talk about what. Yes, dear, it's coming up next.
I screwed that up. I know. Hey, man.
Yes.
I love it though.
Every time I try to pull something, you just ruin it for me.
Hey,
You're like
I
the
love
kid
you,
who
Nikki.
rips
Okay.
rips the
I love you like a
packaging open
brother.
the day before. Yeah, exactly. So, but no, I think Judge is a phenomenal candidate. Clearly has an incredible resume that I've been reading on his judicial branch website. They go into all of your excellent. You were where did they say it here? Graduated with honors. Was on the honor council. Lots of honors here. Assisting vulnerable adults. Attends the Christian Assembly Church in Florence. They really did. I assume you wrote this, Judge, but no, I think you've been a great friend to all of us here, but you're clearly an incredibly accomplished individual. I think that the only way you'd lose is if the partisanship of the district somehow just skewed a significant number of voters. But I would be very surprised, given the degree to which people like to reappoint incumbent judges. At least in other states that I've seen, it's incredibly high. I would suspect that you will probably not run into an issue there. Unfortunately, it's a partisan office in your case, but even with that, I think your personality, hard work, determination, professionalism are, if we want to talk about candidate quality, an exemplary example of what someone would look for. And I'm sure that the Republican Party in your state would love to recruit you to run for something else at a later point.
So we're really blessed, Judge, to have you. We're going to go on to the next one, but Judge, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to kind of tell people about your campaign. Please, if you can, please, really, if you want to support the judge, please do it that way. This man has helped me in his faith. I've been able to talk with him about personal things in faith and kind of learn from him, and he's somebody I look up to. So, Judge, 2 minutes, please, and just kind of talk about some things real quick, and if you guys could support him, and then we'll go on to the Brock.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for all of the kind words, and each of you who has contributed to the campaign financially. While it may not be big to you, anything you give is big to me, because it means that you care. You're taking your hard-earned dollars and placing it into a campaign for somebody who's hundreds of miles away from you that you get to see and talk to every once in a while on Twitter. And while I love each and every one of you, I realize your dollars could be spent taking care of bills, taking care of things that mean more close to home issues to you. And so it's very important to me that you take of your time and take of your assets, I should say, and give in that kind of a way. And it means the world to me for those of you who have. I want to just thank you all now for that. As probate judge in Florence County, I've worked very hard for 4 years to clean up a culture of corruption in my court and to bring back transparency and empathy and compassion to I've tried to mold it, as a matter of fact, quite frankly, in the mold of a conservative Democrat friend of mine who held the court for 14 years before he had to give it up due to early onset dementia, and he died during my term. There was a judge in between us who was a friend of his who was appointed to continue and fill his unexpired term, and then he served a full term of his own. Both of them good friends of mine. Both of them at one time in their career were Democrats. The one was a Democrat his entire life. The other, the one in between the two of us, was a Democrat 40 years ago when he was in the South Carolina House and has since become Republican. Those things don't matter in a judiciary race. We've been trying very hard as a bar to lobby the state to make judicial races like this nonpartisan. If they were nonpartisan, I wouldn't be in fear of losing my job at all. The reality is I've got a lot of crossover support, but when you factor in straight party voting, it's a very monolithic, very large scale threat to someone like me who serves essentially in a nonpartisan capacity, because the only thing partisan about it is the race itself. When the race is over, we put on a robe, we go to work. There's a reason judges wear a black robe, and it's to symbolize the fact that justice is blind. And that is the standard across the judiciary. But we don't bring partisanship into the courtroom. We don't bring it into the office. We don't even bring politics into the office. I have a lot of politicians who like to come through and visit with me because prior to being in office, I spent 20 years as a political consultant, political campaigner, and manager of local and regional campaigns. And they just love to come sit down, and because the campaigns are all behind us now, and just ham it up and talk about the good old days. And there are people from all over the political spectrum that do that. We've got former state Republican and Democratic chairs come into my office all the time. I've just really been blessed with a tremendous degree of friendship with people all over. And if any of you have been watching the Murdaugh case out of South Carolina, you'll see some famous names in that case representing the Murdaugh, Alex Murdaugh, who's the defendant in that case. And one of those individuals is the state Democratic chair, or was the state Democratic chair. He's now the senator from his home district, and just a phenomenal person who I've always looked up to. He and his counterpart from when he was the state Democratic chair, strangely enough, is now our state's governor running for re-election. And they used to go into some very deep sparring matches over many, many things. As it turns out, over the years, I've made friends of both of those individuals. Senator Tim Scott, who is a dear friend, I've always looked up to him since before his days in Congress. He tells me that I was one of the first to believe that he had what it took to get to Congress, and who encouraged him to go there. And just, it's always a blessing. Every year he sends me a handwritten thank you card. I won't say thank you card, but Christmas card. And last year my staff said, "Oh my gosh, that's not signed with an auto pen. That's a real signature." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's also a real note in the card. Thank you very much. And I'll take that to my office now." But I have someone who opens my mail, and because I get so much of it at the office that it's kind of hard for me to do it all on my own. But at any rate, I just want to thank each and every one of you for your support. I want to thank you even more than giving money, even more than anything else you could do for me, for your prayers. And I know I've gone over 2 minutes, so I'll shut up now. But thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you for the love you've shown me. It means a lot.
Oh, thank you, Judge. We will continue to support you. When you go back to night court, I will be ready to help you co-host, because I love helping you. We all love you. And I know that for a fact. And so Nikki totally was right about you. And we love hanging out with you. So, thank you. And just, if you guys want to give to Judge, to support him, please do. If you don't know where to give, send him a message and he'll get you the information you need to do that. That being said, we're going to go back to races across the country with hands raised about certain races coming up. Let's go. Brock, do you have a question for our panel, Let's and Nikki, about a race in the country that you want to know about?
Yeah, sure. What do you guys think about New Hampshire Senate race? Do you guys think that
Who do you want to address to answer that first, Brock? Who do you want to answer that first? Nikki or Let's?
I'll take Let's.
All right. So, the New Hampshire Senate race. Maggie Hassan is the incumbent, and then we have Don Bolduc, the Republican challenger. This early on this year was anticipated because New Hampshire was super close in 2016 when Kelly Ayotte, who was the incumbent Republican at the time, barely lost re-election by only I think it was like 1,000 votes. It was almost as close as the presidential election results. But Maggie Hassan's been the incumbent for the past 6 years, and we thought that due to her not being that popular, as well as the other one that she's serving with, Jeanne Shaheen, that we could pick up the seat ever so narrowly. But that changed when there was a bitter primary between Chuck Morse and Don Bolduc, and Don Bolduc became victorious. Now, many people believe that Don Bolduc has been having a very hard time running his campaign. It has not been the most organized. They believe that he does not have as much funding as he should. The fact that we have Tulsi Gabbard, who, of course, we know the situation with her, is helping to try and campaign with him. It does not look very good. But looking at recent polling, it is shown that at a recent poll, it showed Hassan at 48%, and it showed Bolduc at 45%, which I thought was awfully close. Now, I never considered this race to be anywhere unlikely. I considered it to be lean D due to the situation and not really the high favorability of Hassan. But I would have figured that if the amount of undecided that I saw in that poll, could it possibly make a difference? I mean, it could. If we still won the seat, it'd be a miracle, but I still don't see it. I still feel like Hassan will still hold on, whether if it is a tilt D or a lean D of some sort. I still think Hassan's probably going to beat Bolduc in 2 weeks. So that's my take.
Rebuttal from Nikki?
Yeah, we're going to win by a lean to likely margin. High single digits.
All right. Well, Katz, you got a question about a race across the country?
Of course I do. Let's move to Ohio with the race between the Democrat Tim Ryan and the Republican J.D. Vance. I like J.D. Vance. He seems really like a no nonsense kind of guy. I definitely feel like he loves America and he's no rhino. Um, from what I understand, they're really close in the polls. Like there's maybe a 1 to 2 point difference between them, and that quite recently JD Vance pulled ahead just ever so slightly. The thing I'm concerned about, and I don't always believe in polls, but it says there's a fair amount of female voters undecided, and the poll, that at least what I read, indicates abortion is an important topic to them. Now, whether that means they're pro-abortion or pro-life, I don't know, but that if they were to be pro-abortion, that would be concerning for JD Vance as a Republican. So Nikki, what do you have to say about that race?
So this is another example of candidate quality, because with the average Democrat in Ohio and the average Republican in Ohio, we wouldn't be talking about Ohio. This would be New Hampshire in reverse. We would be losing it by 6 or 7 or 9 or whatever, and that would be the end of the story. But that's not the end of the story here, because the Republicans in Ohio nominated one of the worst Senate candidates I've ever seen among people that don't have personal problems. Like, no one is suggesting that JD Vance, has committed like theft or paid for someone to get an abortion or, any kind of like personal tarnishing that, that would disqualify him in any way like that. It's just that he's a really lazy candidate who doesn't raise money and has, the personality of a pissed off bear, and does not work very hard on the campaign, has not done like a ton of events, um, and has a background that is about as not Ohio, at least professionally, as you get. He went to very good colleges he went to Ohio State, but he also went to, I believe, like Yale Law School, and then worked out in Silicon Valley. He is not hard scrabble. He does not come off as hard scrabble. And if he were running in, most states, he'd get killed. But he's running in Ohio, and there are a lot of Republicans. Tim Ryan is a phenomenal candidate. His approval rating is much, much higher than JD Vance's. I'm absolutely certain. I haven't looked at the numbers in a while, but I know that Vance is underwater and Ryan is not, and that's why the race is close. Abortion issues like that are important to Ohio voters. Taking care of your neighbor is important, and Vance does not come across as the type of guy who's going to vote for the sort of bread and butter, Ohio issues that a lot of Ohio voters care for. The reason they elected Sherrod Brown. So I don't think we win. I would love that. It would make me so happy. But I think we're going to lose by 4 or something like that. But I wish in every state we had a candidate as good as Tim Ryan is, and the Republicans nominated a candidate as bad as JD Vance.
All right. In Ohio, so with Ohio, I think that JD Vance is an okay candidate. I mean, is he great? No. Is he bad? No. I mean, I wish that he did do a little bit more, but I still think he's running a fine campaign for the most part. Like, he's doing decent. He's still leading in the polls. I mean, that's really much to say about him. Most people weren't the most. Some people were a bit surprised when he won the primary. I know everybody was expecting more or less Josh Mandel, but Josh Mandel was not good by any means, in my opinion. But J.D. Vance, he's an okay candidate, in my opinion. But I think that Tim Ryan is pretty overrated, to be honest, from what I hear from the other side. I mean, it's just I think I looked at the debate performance, and he tried to paint J.D. Vance as a really heavy radical. He said very interesting things, Tim Ryan, about killing the MAGA movement, stuff like that. Not exactly stuff you want to say. It's only going to drive out voters more in the state of Ohio, a state that Trump won by 8 percentage points both times. So personally, Tim Ryan could try all he wants. The polls may say it's within 1 point or 2 points. I still think Vance wins by at least 5. So 4 or 5, something like that, similar to what you said, Nikki. I think that's what he wins by. It's just, it is Ohio. We need to take that into account. Is J.D. Vance the best candidate that we could have asked for, or I could have asked for Ohio? No, not really. I mean, is he okay? Yes, in certain areas. Yes, but he's still going to win. I still think he'll be fine in the Senate because, well, at least I know he'll vote with my party, but that's about it.
All right. Rebuttal, Nikki, and then or is that it?
No, I mean, we agree, so we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right. Let's move on to Michael. Michael, you got another race in the country you want to know about? And who are you addressing first?
I'd like to ask Nikki, what about the Arizona race between the governorship for Kari Lake and Katie Hobbs? How do you think it's going to turn out?
Yeah. I think she's a nightmare. I think she is shrill. I think she is, not very thoughtful. I think she has not been running a very successful campaign. And unfortunately, I think that's why Kari Lake is going to win, because Katie Hobbs is just not a good candidate. She has not been running a good campaign, and I'm sure you all thought I was talking about Kari Lake there when I was describing all those qualities. No, Katie Hobbs is a bad candidate, a really bad candidate, like one of our worst candidates for governor. She is not telegenic. Let me put it this way. I have never once seen a video of her on Twitter. Like, I don't know what she sounds like or talks like. I've seen a couple pictures, and that's because Democrats are not particularly excited to share videos of her on Twitter. I know what Blake Masters sounds like. I know what Christine Drazen sounds like. And so I think that, and Kari Lake is extremely telegenic. She's also a nightmare, and I think she will be bad for the residents of Arizona. But the nice thing about being governor is that she won't be bad for the residents of my state. She won't be bad for the residents of New York. Her politics and her choices will not likely have a huge impact on me unless they affect the administration of the election there. Yeah, I think she's a better candidate. It's a close state, and when push comes to shove, if it's a 50-50 race and one candidate is a more likable person than the other, that's probably what gets you over the line.
Yeah, so with Katie Hobbs, pretty much hit the nail in the coffin, to be honest, or hit the nail on the head. She is not a good candidate whatsoever. She's refused to debate with Kari Lake. Going to forums, doing stuff like that. She's not good, but she has not been running a good campaign whatsoever, and she would be an absolute horrendous travesty for Arizona. But Kari Lake, I mean, during the primary, many people were intrigued with her. But some people were a little bit turned off that she kept talking about 2020. But she has turned away from that. And ever since the primary, she's been running a really good campaign. She's been, talking with Arizonans. She's been, going to these debates, even if it's by herself. She's been, calling out people saying she's an election denier, even though she calls out the Democrats that did it in 2016 and such. She's a really decent candidate and I'm very surprised with how well she's, transformed from how I was a little bit skeptical of her and almost would have went with Karen Taylor Robeson in the primary. But I would say that she will win. Katie Hobbs is not going to win at this rate. She'll probably win by maybe 4 or 5 points at this rate. I mean, that's what I think, only just because Katie Hobbs just not good. If Katie Hobbs was a good candidate, this race would be closer. But I just think due to the fact of her being out of the public eye, it's only going to help Blake more.
Awesome. Nikki? You good?
No, we agree.
All right. Let's go to Texas, the Texas race. We haven't talked about that in a long time. The Beto O'Rourke, Greg Abbott race. Nikki, go ahead and start. Let's can respond after that.
You said the
Texas race, the Texas governor race.
Oh yeah, I mean, let me put it this way: if the race were nonpartisan, there's a good chance I'd vote for Abbott.
Okay,
he's a better candidate, like demonstrably so, and he's going to win by 10 points.
All right,
I agree. Beto is not that good of a candidate. He's been, he's just stumbled. His campaign has not been very well run. He lost all the magic after he foolishly ran for president in 2020. And Abbott is running, of course, running for his third term. I think he's in a very good position with how he's going to perform. I say that he will win at best maybe 12 points, probably, or 11, somewhere in the really low double-digit area, because Texas's shifts are still there, but I still think he'll win comfortably there.
Awesome.
I'll just add to that very, very briefly that
Go for it.
Yeah, sure. That, incumbent re-elections are pretty much always a referendum on the incumbent when it comes to something like governor. And yeah, he's done a very good job. I mean, he's a very no nonsense, he's a conservative, but he's not a firebrand. He doesn't make you feel like, he's trying to score points, and that's something to admire in Republican politics today, is someone who doesn't basically sound like Ted Cruz. I guess, for me, more broadly, I think I don't know. I like how he rolls. I think he's a good guy. And Beto, I think Beto is a good candidate, honestly. And if he had chosen to run for the House in a, mid-sized Democratic district, he'd win the primary pretty easily. I
could have done that.
Right. I think that, his brand of politics is very hard to win with in Texas. I mean, it's just generally. And so I'm not gonna play the game that you like to play of saying that every candidate that I disagree with is a bad candidate. Sometimes they're good candidates. Sometimes they're good people. They're just in a bad district. And
I don't play that game with you.
No. I was talking about Let's. Let's has never met a Democrat that he thinks is a good kid, even if he doesn't like the guy. Let's is very.
I don't think that they're bad people. Well, some
you do not often say that a Democrat is a good candidate, even if they are a good candidate, because you can't bring yourself to do it. I haven't heard you say that even about
Laura Kelly. Laura Kelly.
Fine. No. What about Tim Ryan? Is Tim Ryan a good candidate? I'm not saying I agree with him.
I'll say that he's better than certain other ones.
I have to say, Nikki threw a joke in that whole conversation he just said. And I don't know if anybody else got it. Maybe Nikki didn't pay attention to it, or maybe he's waiting for somebody to respond to what he said. He likes how he rolls. That's what he said. I don't know if that was part of a joke or if he was just,
if you think something I say is part of a joke, it's almost always part of a joke. And yes, that's
what,
why.
was I right, Nikki? Was
Oh,
that
of
part
course
of
you
it?
were. Yeah, that one was. I tried to.
Yeah,
you
I know
know.
no, actually that was gonna make a joke, but I was gonna say a Democrat governor I think's a good guy is Jay Inslee. You know, he's
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
trying
There
to
you
get
go,
kicked
Les.
out of the space?
oh my god.
No, he's not gonna get kicked out. Neither would you, Nikki. I know.
By the way, Jason, I'm going to be coming up to your state next June for a concert.
Sweet.
Yep.
We'll have to get some
You guys can meet
coffee.
up.
Yeah. Well, it'll
Yeah.
be in. I don't know how far you are from the Gorge Amphitheater, but that's.
Yeah, the gorge is about 3 hours, 2.5 hours.
Are you
It's
in?
over the
You're not in
pass.
Seattle though, right? You're like south of somewhere.
I'm in
You're
Tacoma.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm coming up with
Yeah.
my mom for a concert, assuming I can get the tickets.
That's awesome.
Already got the hotel and everything. So
Yeah, we'll talk more. We'll see what's going on then.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that was good. That was a good.
got it.
I caught the Rolls joke.
I got it. I know another Democrat that's not bad.
All right, go ahead and say it. But Katz has her hand up, and then I'm gonna we'll go on to her next race question.
Jared Polis.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad either, to be honest with you guys. I think he's one of the things I liked about Jared Polis was when this whole mask thing was going out of hand. He said, or the whole vaccine mandate thing. He said people that are going to get the vaccine have chosen to get it. People that aren't. I'm not implying I'm not going to be forcing it. And he actually stated Gavin Newsom and Jay Inslee when he said that. I was like, whoa.
He probably
be
my favorite. If I had to pick a favorite Dem governor that I liked, I'd probably say it was him.
Yeah, he's not bad at all. I respect anybody that kind of lets freedom be freedom. I think that's good. So, Katz, you have a race question?
A race question? Yeah.
No, a question about a race in the country. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer versus Tudor Dixon. It sounds like Tudor Dixon is coming up a bit in the polls. I'm not sure what the gap is between them. Gretchen Whitmer. Ooh, too bad the FBI didn't actually kidnap her. Of course, if they had actually kidnapped her, they would have brought her right back and said, "We don't want her." Nikki.
Oh, hey. So yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. There are. I was reading literally today that the people who tried to kidnap the governor took a plea and were sentenced, I think, today to a fair number of years in prison. Literally this morning, I saw that news alert come across my screen. And I think that, Tudor Dixon will have just as much luck coming for the governor of Michigan as those guys did. They will come up, and she will come up short, just like they came up short. Whitmer has been ahead in practically every poll that has been done in the last, month or two. And I think that, I haven't seen any commentators who are particularly excited about the possibility, not excited about, but rather particularly strongly believing that, that Whitmer could fall off. A while ago, month or so, 2 months ago, it was a double-digit lead on a regular basis. Now it's sort of a mid-single digit. I don't think there's a big enough polling error that gets you to a Dixon win, but I'd probably say mid-single digits for Whitmer.
All right, let's anything?
Yeah. So with the poll situation, I've seen the polls, and Whitmer's still leading in polls, and the RCP average is about somewhere in a lean sort of margin. It's in between, like it's I think it was like 3.6 or something like that last time I checked, but that's basically shows like 3 points ahead. My point is, I think Tudor Dixon is a decent candidate. She's been running an okay campaign. She's been getting by, but Whitmer is the incumbent. And I still think that it is Michigan. This is a state that Trump narrowly won in 2016 and completely swung 3 points to the left in 2020. I have just seen that it is very difficult for. Even though Dixon is narrowing up the polls, Nikki, can you mute your mic, please? There we go. Sorry. I was going to say, I think that Whitmer will probably still hold on by a really low lean margin in the single digits, most likely. I would love for Dixon to pull an upset. It's just, and I don't give up, and I don't want to give up on her either. But I still think it's probably going to go in Whitmer's favor narrowly as of right now, to be honest.
All right. That's the Tudor Dixon and Gretchen Whitmer race. Before Dylan goes, I'm gonna throw one in, Nikki, and I'm gonna go with you first. Let's is gonna like this one. Dan McKee versus Ashley Kalis in Rhode Island. What are your thoughts, Nikki first?
Don't
then
do this
let's. And it's time. I want your opinion. Let's go ahead.
No.
Nikki.
Let him go first. I want to hear him first.
Yeah.
I can see Let's has decided to clam up because there's something clearly fishy with his opinion about this race. Those are the only two seafood puns that I can come up with at the moment.
Wow.
But I think that it's Rhode Island. It's going to go to the Democrat, and as much as I'm sure Let's has enjoyed getting to go to his first political rally and not hanging out with Matt while he was there, I'm sure it was unintentional, and I actually mean that because Let's is a good guy. But I think that it's unlikely that it's extremely unlikely that a Republican would win the governorship in Rhode Island. But standing by lost causes is something that Let's has always been very good at. I mean,
hey, don't take shots, Nikki. Come on.
No,
you and Let's are friends.
Stop.
Come on, Nikki. Come on, buddy.
Ouch.
I know. Come on, man.
I can't even. Oh God, I'm just gonna stop. Like I'm not gonna. If you keep interrupting me as in the run up to my joke, it ruins my ability to make my joke, and it really actually does. So
I'm sorry, Nikki. Will you forgive me?
Yes.
Will you forgive me? Okay.
Maybe. If you don't do it again, Let's Let's has a strong record of supporting hopeless causes. Just look at his friends on here, like me. So go ahead, Let's.
He's gonna go on a tear, Nikki.
Jesus Christ. No, I'm joking. It's fine. Anyway, I can see with now I just see it as, could Rhode Island be competitive? It could be, but I'm not going to go out here and say that Ashley Kalis is going to win outright, because she's not. She's been running a very good campaign. I told her when I shook her hand and I took a picture with her that she was running a great campaign, because out of many of the candidates this cycle that I've looked at, she's a very good candidate, and she seems like she really knows what there is for Rhode Island. Now, for example, as of right now, because no new polling has come out, I've had to keep the race in likely D. I still think that McKee, as if the election were held today, he'd probably win by like 7 or 8 points. But if a new poll comes out and it shows Kalis within like 4 or 5, which I'm not sure about, because I'm really just mapping this out from the fact that a poll a month and like this was like this was after the primary in Rhode Island, in which she was behind by, it was like a week after, she was 23 points behind, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, she slashed that down. I think it was 3 weeks later, she slashed that down to being only behind by 10 percentage points. I also looked, there's also like 14% of undecideds there. Also, you have Paul Rihanna Jr. that's running as a third party. You got some third parties in there. They could probably take votes away from McKee. And it's a possibility. I'm not going to say she is going to win, and I don't want to be called delusional because I don't like to think I'm delusional with this sort of race because I can't say she's going to win. But at the same time, I think she's running a good campaign. She could make it close depending on the polling, but it really does depend on if that new polling, when it does come out, is close. If it is only like a little bit different, then I'm probably going to say that we are not going to win that race. But it really depends on if I'm going to see if she improves like she has been in the polling, if she has a chance more than Zeldin, for example. But I'm not going to say that she is going to win outright because it's Rhode Island. I agree with you. And I know exactly what uphill battle we're up against here in the state. Dan McKee is the most unpopular governor in the country, so I'm hoping that Rhode Islanders will see that. But then again, I'm not going to bet my whole entire wallet on it either.
Any response to that, Nikki?
I mean, that's what I like about about Letts. He's pragmatic, and I think that's important. So,
because I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say we're going to win a race for sure. I'm not like that. I'm very cautious when I try to do predictions. I don't like doing predictions. I like to do them for fun. But at the same time, if I end up being wrong in an election, what am I going to do? It's kind of just like Trump when he tries to, have his endorsement record. It's just another thing to make you feel good about yourself or something. I don't know.
Right. No, I get you there. Thank you guys. And Nikki, sorry I interrupt your jokes, bro. I just catch you before and I'm like, whoa, hold on. No. But anyways, Dylan has been patient and what's your next question, Dylan, for our panel, and who you addressing first?
I have been so patient, in fact, I have forgotten my question. So I yield the floor.
All right. Well, if you think of it again, raise your hand. I will call on you. I will make sure that you don't have to wait that long. Katz, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, guys. I have Arizona, Lee Masters versus the incumbent Democrat Mark Kelly. And my understanding is that they are tied with each other at 47%. Some sources say that Masters won the last debate. Liberal media is labeling Masters as dangerous, which seems silly. I don't know why, but I'm guessing it's over being pro-life. Boy, how dangerous. So Nikki, what is your take on that? And also, I'm curious if you think that Kari Lake's what I perceive to be her momentum has any cause and effect upon the race between Masters and Kelly.
Sorry, I always wait for Jason to say it's your turn or something like that, so I don't talk out of turn. If he's going to interrupt me at other times, you can at least orchestrate the conversation.
No, you're good to go.
I'm trying to be right here. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's appreciated.
Yeah, you're all good.
All right. I'm just being playful. I catch you before you, something like that. But no. So have you ever seen the movie Men in Black? Is that movie familiar to you?
It's been a while, but I think I've seen it once.
Okay. So in that movie, about halfway in, there's this one guy who's like freakishly tall and has these really long arms, and he kind of talks in this really strange way. And what I'm really trying to say is that Blake Masters kind of looks like an alien and acts like one, compared to Kari Lake, who looks like a TV savvy, etc. and he's like this in person. I've met him in person. I know him. I've known him a little bit, and I think that I don't think she is gonna. I don't think you generally see a gubernatorial candidate provide coattails to a senator very much. Um, I think that people can separate the two races in their heads, and they generally do because they know how they want to vote on them. Coattails are for races where you don't know the candidates, down ballot kind of thing. There might be some amount of like get out the vote thing where the rallies they're doing together are her helping him, which is probably true. But I would say it's just a question of the national environment. Like, it's a tight race. It's definitely a tight race. The polling average has been favoring Kelly by 1 or 2 at this point. I usually say bet on the incumbent in a situation like that. At the end of the day, people are going to pull the lever for the person they know and that they trust, better than the person that they don't know and they have no idea what they're going to do. But if there's even a mild shift in the national environment, or if there's a polling error, then it absolutely could go the other way. But I think that Masters, the only thing that makes Blake Masters a really good candidate is his sugar daddy, Peter Thiel. If he didn't have Peter Thiel to write multi-million-dollar checks to fund the campaign, or rather the super PAC, then he would not be. But he would not be the nominee, first off, and second off, he would not have been the best candidate.
So,
can I say one more thing?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No. But I will say that, it will be sad if he loses for one small reason, and that is that Yellow Kazoo will be incredibly, incredibly depressed. And the 1 or 2 of you who know her on Twitter know that she is a lovely, lovely person. And I will be very sad that she is so sad. But
So with this race, because I've already stated that I believe that I'm going to have my eyes on Pennsylvania, but I'm also going to have them on Arizona. Arizona is very critical for us to regain back the U.S. Senate. From what I've seen, this race has been all over the place in sorts that people thought that I remember talking to people thinking that Masters was going to be able to beat Mark Kelly by a lean margin. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. So I've looked at the polling, and it still has Kelly leading ever so slightly by like 2 points or something like that. I mean, that's good because obviously I've learned from experience, and I've said this a million times, they oversample Democrats. So, you can pretty much assume that the race is going to be a nail-biter. Now, the thing is, this race could go either way. This could go tilt Republican or it could go tilt Democrat. I believe that this race is going to be in the tilt column. I believe it's probably going to be under a percentage point with how close this is. You also have to add in that the Maricopa County, depending on how, that's going to be like the king of the crop, depending on, especially where Phoenix is. And, for example, Masters only needs to do a slight shift to the right. That's not even a full percentage point in that county. And he's able to significantly, turn the tide in the state and be able to beat Kelly right there, even if it's by, a tilt margin. It could be somewhere between like, a point something or something like that. My point is it'll be under a percentage point. I see the same thing similarly happening in, another southern state that we could all be thinking of that has a runoff. But I believe that race is still toss-up. I would like to give the benefit to Masters, but I still cannot say for sure because this is very well a toss-up race. And while I can say I believe Masters will win, I'm going to be very pragmatic about this, and I'm going to say I'm sorry, my throat. I'm going to say that this is still technically in a toss-up column, and it could go either way, because I would be generally shocked if Masters didn't win, but I don't want to get my hopes up either.
All right, that's cool. Thank you guys for that one. I know I interrupt a lot, Nikki, but I really am not trying to be annoyance. But I am just kind of making sure I run the forum in a good manner. So it's not intentionally to, do that to you. So my apologies if it felt that way. I really do appreciate you. So, Brock,
Thank you for saying
go
that.
ahead. Yeah, it's not an attack towards you. I just want you to know that, I'm just running the show. Brock, go ahead.
I want to touch on just one more, just for literally shits and giggles. Let's go with, what about the Nevada governor's race? I want to hear Nikki's thoughts on this one.
That's a good question. I honestly have not followed it much at all. I couldn't tell you the name of the Republican candidate. I know the Democrat just because he's the incumbent. Just off the top of my head.
Do you want the name?
No. Just off the top of my head, I think Sisolak is doing a perfectly fine job. The CCM race is also close. So just from what I vaguely remember, I think it's going to be a pretty close race. We probably pull that one out by a little bit. But it's hard to say. But I think he's doing well enough. More interesting thing for me in Nevada is the ranked balloting measure. I have no idea how it's going to go, but that's one I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, so with Nevada, Joe Lombardo, the Republican, running against Steve Sisolak, this has been a race that many people with the Senate race in Nevada have expected that's leaning more towards Republicans. And I would say I can see it. Sisolak is, I'm not going to say that he's a bad candidate for the millionth time, even though I don't like him that much. But my point is, he doesn't have that machine. He doesn't have that Reid machine anymore. The Democrats and, Nevada are starting to fall apart. He's not the best for Nevada, in my opinion. I mean, he's kind of just, I don't really have an opinion on the guy. I mean,
Chica?
What was that?
Sorry. No, I didn't know my mic was, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
My cat was interrupting. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Anyway, I was going to say that this race with Lombardo, I think that it'll still be reasonably within probably, I would say maybe a lean margin of maybe like a point or something like that. Maybe people are going to say 2. I don't know about 2, but maybe like 1.5, something like that. But I think Lombardo probably will beat Sisolak because I just feel like with Nevada starting to shift more to the right, especially with those trends there, maybe in Washoe County, I would say that we could probably eke out a win there. But that's like what I feel more confident about than, say, Arizona or, Georgia or even Pennsylvania for that matter. I just feel Nevada seems to be trending more towards us, especially with the Senate race. And I don't know if they, Lombardo and Laxalt can benefit from each other. I haven't heard from them, cooperating with each other to help each other, directly. But I would anticipate, or I guess, hope that that's a cause of helping each other out is going to help them get across the finish line. But yeah, that's really just my take on Nevada. I mean, could it go Democrat? I mean, maybe. It's just I have a much harder time seeing Nevada than maybe Arizona or Georgia, which is funny because Nevada's been a long-standing Democrat state for like the last 20 years. So,
all right, Katz.
Okay, so let's go to the governor's race in Illinois. So we got the slug, J.D. Pritzker versus Darren Bailey. So this article I'm looking at was just released, I think, earlier today. It said Pritzker is 9 points ahead of Bailey. The whole thing with that really horrible pro-crime law that's going to go into effect in January. A lot of people are really, really worried about it. It's going to be bad. I mean, if you thought it was bad in Chicago, just wait till that sucker goes into effect. It's like, why? I guess for me, this one feels like in a different way. It feels like Fetterman and Oz. Like, why in the world would you vote for Pritzker, who's putting this law into effect in a state riddled with horrible, violent crime, making it worse? It's like, where's your brains? Is there any chance in hell for this Bailey guy to come from behind? And where are people's brains? Nikki.
Just remind me for a second, which one of them is the billionaire?
Well, I assume it's J.D. Pritzker, the slug.
Yeah.
I would call him a slug.
I mean, he's really fat. But he's gonna win. It's extraordinarily rare for an incumbent governor or senator who happens to be a billionaire and can just spend literally whatever they want on a campaign to lose, especially in a state where their party represents the majority of the voters. He's gonna win, and I hesitate to say it again, but the Republican, whose, again, name I didn't know until you said it just now, the Republicans are going to get creamed. This one's so safe. No one, literally, this is the first time I think I've ever had a conversation about the race the entire year.
Meanwhile, I agree. Pritzker's going to beat Bailey. He's probably going to win by like 10 or 11 points. It's going to be a decrease from like 20. It could be like 12. I originally had it at 12, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be somewhere. I think it's going to be 10 or a little bit over, to be honest. Less than like 15, but somewhere in that vicinity. I still think that. I mean, Bailey, he's an okay candidate. He's an okay candidate, I guess. I haven't really paid much attention to him besides the fact that he's Trump endorsed because, I mean, it's Illinois. I mean, I knew we weren't going to win it. I mean, will he help Republicans down ballot in Illinois? Probably, depending on what district they're running in. But that's really about it. I still think Bailey is going to lose to Pritzker. Pritzker's not that unpopular to be. I mean, well, yeah, he's not heavily disliked, so they're still going to stick with him. That's my point. He's going to win.
All right.
Are voters so ignorant of what the heck they're doing to crime? I mean, that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Well, look at Washington State. I mean, they still voted for Inslee in 2020 after all that stuff that went on here with the Chaz Chop thing. So the ignorance.
I like to look at like this way. People can vote however the heck they want. They just got to make the bed that they sleep with, and they better not come crying back when their life ends up getting a little bit worse.
So, that's really good. We are we're closing down, but so we got a couple more. Mary,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to actually suggest one, honestly, that we haven't done, and I've been.
Hold on. Mary just raised her hand. I'd like her to ask you guys, whoever she wants to ask. I want to make sure she gets her question in because she talks only when she really has something to say. So,
but I want to do mine as well. So,
okay,
you get to do yours, Nikki.
Nikki,
I'm not.
How about Wisconsin?
Governor or senator? I guess
How
governor.
about both? Can we do both?
I don't even know who the candidate is for Wisconsin Senate, if there is one.
Ron Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that is. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. We can do both quickly. Me first or let's first?
Oh, you. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. So unlike in Georgia, the candidate in the Republican candidate in Wisconsin has managed to keep his Johnson in his pants, and he's going to probably win. Thank you, Brock. I appreciate it. If I make a joke, I want somebody to react to it. He's probably going to pull it off. In a better year, if this were 2018, Barnes probably wins it. But not this year. It'll probably be 4 to 5 points. For the governor's race, I know many people in here seem to hate him, but Evers has done a pretty good job. And, I think, popular incumbent, pretty decent split. I think for the exact reason that Ron Johnson's going to win, Tony Evers is going to win because
Do you
people
think,
like to
well, do you
stick
think
with
that
the incumbent.
Wisconsin is, are they vote splitters?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I think that, hell, you have, how do you think you got Democratic governor? You have one Republican senator, one Democratic senator, Democratic governor. I'm not, generally speaking, people like to vote for the incumbent unless they've given them a big bad reason not to. And, that's probably what's going to happen here.
So for governor, I'm going to go with Senate first. Yeah, Ron Johnson is in a very good position against Mandela Barnes. Barnes is, very interesting guy, I got to say. But I still think that Johnson, being the incumbent and, with the national environment, he'll win probably maybe like 4 to 5 points, somewhere in that vicinity. I think that he will beat Barnes. And, I think I like Ron Johnson. I think he's great. I think he's, again, running a pretty good campaign. He'll easily win re-election. And like Nikki said, it'd be a little bit more interesting if it was 2018, but luckily that is not the case. And Ron Johnson's going to have another 6 years. But we go to the governor's race. I personally think, now Tony Evers, I don't like the guy, obviously, because mainly not just because he's a Democrat. I think that he just has not done good for the state of Wisconsin, especially with the Kenosha riots and, all of that stuff that I believed he failed on. Even during the debate, he did not perform very well. He was kind of mumbling a little bit. He seemed a little bit, out of place, to be honest, in my opinion. I think that Tim Michels was not my first choice for the governor. I was leaning a little bit more towards Rebecca Kleefisch, but I ended up, of course, backing Tim Michels. He's got the money. He's running a decent campaign right now. But I have talked to people, especially like Wisconsin Neanderthal, who, and this could be closer than expected. I would have said this could have been a state that could have went by a lean margin, which it could still, but it could go tilt. But one of those two, I still think it leans in Michels' favor. And it may not say it right now, but I still think that Michels probably will be able to eke it out thanks to the national environment. And maybe, I don't really know if Johnson's performance is really going to do that well, but do I believe there's going to be certain split ticketing? Of course. You can't deny that, but I still think that we could eke it out in Wisconsin, despite the fact, with the fact that Evers only won narrowly the first time.
No, this is not a comment. But
All right.
just a
So
perspective.
hold on. So those are good. Thank you, Mary, for asking those. We're gonna kind of start closing down. I have one I want to ask as the final one. Brock, did you have a race you wanted them to respond? We're only going to do one response from each one, no rebuttals now, as we're starting to close down. So go ahead, Brock.
I just wanted to say one quick thing, Nikki, about there's no ticket split in Wisconsin. The last time there was a gov and Senate race on the same ballot, there was only a 0.4 difference.
It's a good point. Has that held in the last 20 years or just that one race?
There hasn't been many instances where there's the same race. You'd have to go all the way back to
there hasn't been
past 2002.
Isn't there always a senator and a governor on, because the senators are alternate? So I would think there'd be a pretty regularly there'd be.
I'm just saying on the same ballot.
Right. That's what okay. Regardless. Because there's one senator every 6 years.
Actually, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be every time, but you'd miss one only two or three times. So I would think you could look pretty carefully. But regardless, I'd like to. Can we do my race now, please, Mr. Host?
Yeah, we can do all. We have Matt, you, and then I have a final one. So that's that's fine with me.
Just do those three.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think is going to happen with the Oklahoma governor's race?
Oh, you took mine. Shoot, that was the one I was going to ask about.
Well-
Hoffmeister versus Stitt.
Well, when it comes to Oklahoma, I believe that Stitt is he's not that popular. I'll give him that. And he does have of course, it's one of the most Republican states in the country. And I know that Joy Hoffmeister, I know you mentioned, was literally a Republican just last year, but she did switch to being a Democrat. I don't think it would make much of a difference if she did win, because she'd have a state legislature and still 2 senators and all that stuff, so she wouldn't be able to do much. That does not mean, do I think she's a bad candidate? No, because she's basically what people would call a dino. I mean, or like maybe a Laura Kelly or something like that. But I still think Stitt will probably win, whether it's like a likely margin over 10 point. I mean, a little over 10, but like if he does win a little over 10, maybe that's the best he's going to do. He's not going to win anything more than 10. I mean, the guy is he's not the most loved. I will say that, but I originally was going to put in a likely column, then I was immediately told by people, put it back in safe. I'm like, okay. It's very interesting. I would say that Stitt still wins, but I'm still a little bit in the midst of wondering if he can actually break 10, to be honest, or if he's just going to win by like 7 or 8 or something like that.
All right. I'm going to make the most daring prediction of my night, and the one that I am least sure of and may even disagree with. But I think the Democrats are going to win Oklahoma.
And I think Republicans are going to win Rhode Island.
I honestly, even Sean Trend, who is a pretty conservative guy and runs Real Clear Politics today, was saying that, Stitt is unpopular and, Hoffmeister is basically a Republican. So, how many voters are just going to say, screw it? I don't like that guy, and I'm not going to get nothing is going to get worse with this woman who was literally a Republican until 6 months ago. So why not vote for her? Oklahoma has some weird politics going back a long time. I'm not saying it's a red state, but I think it's definitely got a lot going on with the tribes and everything. So, I'm going to trust the polling and trust the fact that Stitt is a bad governor, and take a shot and say he's going to lose.
Very daring.
That was the one I was going to ask about, but you brought it up already, so we'll just move on. I'm serious. I was like, I wasn't going to let that one go because I knew you had opinions on that anyways. Matt, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to listen, but after what I heard Nikki say about Wisconsin governor, I believe he's completely wrong about it. So, I mean, you look at the history behind it. 2018, Tony Evers only won in a blue wave year by only 1.1% against Scott Walker. So you look at 2012, look at the recall election, and 2010, then I think 2014, and the recall election in 2012. All of them are Republican neutral / red wave years. So again, 2022 is going to definitely make Wisconsin flip red, in my opinion. So I had to disagree with you because, again, Tammy Baldwin, who ran that same ticket as Tony Evers, got 11% of the vote. So I don't see Tony Evers surviving this election whatsoever. But that's just my opinion. But I'm going to go back to listener.
All right. Let's and Nikki, do you guys have any final ones we haven't talked about besides the Oklahoma, which I'm glad Nikki caught that. It doesn't bother me that he brought it up before I did, but I was like, oh man, that's the one I had. Do you guys have any final races we haven't talked about that you guys want to bring up for tonight? And then remember, we're doing a late night garage on Sunday night, and we'll be talking a lot more about races. And I'd love to have you guys here because it seems like the poll stuff is changing by the by the time, but we've got any final ones, Let's and Nikki, that we haven't talked about?
Do you have any Let's?
I was just thinking about like Kansas or something.
Well, bring it up if you want. It'd be good for people to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Kansas. Kansas is very interesting. So we got the incumbent Democrat Laura Kelly. She's running against Jesus. Why can't I know his name? It's just my brain's not functioning right now.
Derek Schmidt.
Yeah, Derek Schmidt. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Yeah, Derek Schmidt. So she's running against Derek Schmidt. Derek Schmidt, being the Attorney General, was pretty much very early on in the year favored to beat Kelly by a likely margin. We honestly saw it to be an automatic flip because we just saw that while Laura Kelly isn't that she's not that. I mean, she's well liked. I mean, she's like 50-50, somewhere in the 50s of approval. She's not hated by Kansans a lot, but the thing about her is she's tried to portray herself as a moderate because she knows that if she doesn't do that, because especially in the state of Kansas, a long-standing Republican state that hasn't voted for a Republican in so long at the presidential level, that she would get obliterated if she, went, far more liberal than she already kind of has in the past. But even then, though, you have the benefit that Laura Kelly had in 2018 was that she was running in a blue wave year. You also had a third party candidate that was running, and it held back the Republicans slightly. So it allowed her to win by a polarity in the blue wave year. Now, we can anticipate there's going to be a third party again because it's already been confirmed that there is, which already makes the race more dicey. And the fact there probably still will be people that will vote for Kelly. So I would anticipate this race to be much closer than expected. I could see this race being within a tilt range. It could be that close because of the third party. Could it reach a point? Probably. But I think it's going to be a very close race. But I still think that Derek Schmidt will beat Laura Kelly in a very close race due to the fact that it is Kansas at the end of the day. And while Laura Kelly is not hated, they'd still probably want a Republican governor. But what do I know? People still say it's toss up. We'll see what happens. But I'm still lean R in a sense.
All right, Nikki, did you have anything with that too?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really interesting race because I feel like, she has done a really, solid job of governing Kansas. Obviously, it's an incredibly hard state for a Democrat, I mean, to hold. It's been done before. But I think that my gut says Republican by 1. I know the polls and everything of like the predictions that I've seen have given it to her just narrowly, but I don't know why, but I just feel like it's
yeah, I roughly think it's gonna be somewhere around there.
Yeah. But I mean, on a good, that's another one where I think if it's a good night for us and you guys win, say less than 20 seats in the House, if you pick up less than 20, then she probably wins. And if it's a bad night and you pick up more than 20, then she probably loses.
Interesting. Very. I mean, it's an interesting race. People still characterize it as a toss-up, but yeah, we're going to have to see what happens in Kansas. I still think that Schmidt is favored to win, but again, we've seen crazier things happen. Like, seriously.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll just leave the rest for anything else you have for Sunday night when we go that. What did you guys think, Let's and Nikki, of the way that I did this tonight? With that,
this was well done. It was like an open forum.
Great. It's what's hard with these is that if you're not asking about like national stuff or like big high profile races, there's only so many that he and I actually know about off the top of our heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I will say what I would like to suggest, and I haven't had the chance to talk to him offline about this, but I think it's actually a fun concept, would be to do ballot measures from around the country, because there's a wide variety of weird and interesting ballot initiatives on things like reorganizing government, ranked voting, abortion, all of these other things.
Let's do that on Sunday
Yeah,
night.
we can do that on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that on Sunday night, Nikki.
That's good. We can
I'll
do
see
it
if
for
I
the
can
respect.
find
We
a
can
good
do
week.
it like Spice. Nikki, you know what we could do? Like one of these nights, we could organize it in a sense where we know which ones to do. You know what I mean? Like what we did with the that races, what we do with the ballot measures. If you want to do that.
Yep.
And then, yeah, just let me know. And then people can ask questions at the end. We'll do the questions at the end and stuff and go from there. And that'll be fun. So Sunday night, guys, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, Late Night Garage Election Countdown. We'll continue to talk about things that matter in the election, including what Nikki just brought up, ballot measures and stuff, because all of that's important. So thank you, everyone, for joining the Conservative Political Forum tonight. Next week will be another great forum. Nikki is our host, our third co-host with Katz and I. He'll have a great one. He already previewed earlier what he's going to be talking about. I think it'll be awesome. And then I just got word for our Democrat on the panel that's going to be working with you and I. I don't know if she can be there the whole night, but she will be here on election night. Mitty will be our Democrat co-host on our panel. So
Wait. Sorry. I don't mean to jump in. I'm just making sure that is Mitty going to be the one that's going to be the co-host? Because I don't know if she's going to be the one that's going to be backup.
You and her are going to be the co-hosts.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, you and her are the co-host. Katz is going to come in as a speaker that night and just kind of bring her what she's seeing around the country and be a part. But
are we all good with people? We're all good with speakers doing house.
No, we're working on that. I don't think Traz. I'm not going to count on Traz because he couldn't even make it tonight. I will work on that. We'll work on that, but I want to do that offline. I don't want to talk about that on.
No, I get
the
you.
recorded. Yeah. So, but we'll get that. We'll get that. We'll get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So everybody, just get ready. We got our Democrat. We got that's going to be the co-host on election night, and then. We got people that'll come in and out. Maybe even Nikki might even pop in for a second. I don't know, but that'll be cool. So, let's let me close this in prayer, and then I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday night in Late Night Garage. Katz, did you want to say anything before I do this? You are one of the main people in this show, so.
Oh, thank you. Oh, no, I just appreciate everyone being here, everyone's thoughts and participation. I think that I did really like the format, enjoyed that. So good job, Nikki, and let's talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's close in prayer, and we will be ready for Sunday night at Late Night Garage if you can make it. Father God, I thank you for everybody in the room tonight. I thank you that as the election comes closer, we can find unity between Democrats and Republicans, and that we can find common ground, and that we can learn to work together, because the division is not needed when we can find a way to work together. I pray that everyone here is healthy and strong in this room, and any problems they may be having in their life, I just pray that you're helping them through it, and that they can find strength in you. If they don't know you, I pray that you would still comfort them, so that they can have your comfort in their life, Lord. And I just thank you that no weapon formed against anybody in this room shall prosper, as your word says, but that everybody is protected, and that you are watching over them in their everyday battles with their own personal situations in their lives. And I just thank you for the health of everybody in here. If anybody's struggling with any sickness or pain, you can always let me know offline, and I will personally be praying for you, because I believe that God can heal. So I want to make sure that you guys know that. So I just pray for everybody's health and the mighty name of Jesus, and that everybody is strong and ready to finish out the week strong in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 Awesome. So look forward to seeing you all on Sunday night in Late Night Garage. We had I had a record late night. We had the record late night garage. 109 people showed up last Sunday night. So let's break that this week. I want people to have fun.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna DM you something that happened in here that I just don't want to mention, but I'm over DM if that's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
No
Have a good
problem.
night, guys.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
All right. Peace out.
Good night.
Night.